Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, but mostly just the stuff we like. It is official, or official for those of you of a more classier sort. We have entered the high holy days of the WWE calendar with the first of the original 4 PPV, PLE, don't worry, we'll get your money somehow, events happening this past weekend. The Royal Rumble marks the on-ramp to the road to Wrestlemania. So, who would win? Who will return? What completely out-of-shape legend would waddle their way to the ring for one more shot at glory? And what the hell was going to happen in the other matches? We figured it was our idiotic duty to watch and break it down for all of you, so that's just what we're going to do in this episode 150, our 2024 Royal Rumble review. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the man who was recently disciplined at work for planning his own over-the-top battle royal in the lunchroom. He has been my partner in Idiocy for over 2 decades and is undergoing mandatory sensitivity and safety training for the next several weeks. I give you the man they call Tim.
Greetings and salutations, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. And yourself?
Doing well. And, you know, that Battle Royale would have worked out if they just let me put the ropes up around the tables there, you know.
We want tables.
Makeshift ring and...
we want tables.
It all would have worked out. All would have worked out.
I know it would have. But just on a side note, are you as sick of hearing that chant at every single, like, Raw, SmackDown, any hint of anyone going outside of the ring and there is a chant for furniture? And I realize I'm turning into Uncle Corny right now before your very eyes.
You are.
These are going to turn wireframed in a minute, and I'm going to develop a Southern accent.
Yes.
It's going to be fantastic.
Indeed. Yeah, well, they want to see other peoples going through, you know, wooden objects and splinters flying and people being maimed, apparently. So I do have to say, in your intro, I was surprised you didn't mention, waiting to see what other creative way Kofi Kingston was going to avoid elimination.
You know,
which I guess is okay because, as we'll get into, that just didn't happen this year. So,
as you know, as much as I would love to see that, I think after the last couple times where he was, if I remember right, the last time he really attempted to avoid being eliminated in an acrobatic manner, he almost maimed himself.
He did. Yeah.
I think that time is done. I think Kofi is like, you know what? It was a good run.
Yeah.
I'm getting he's hit the Danny Glover portion of his career. He's like, I'm too old for this.
I worked the gimmick for a good couple of years. It's time to retire it. So
Triple H is going to him like, hey, Kofi, Riggs. Okay, understood. Understood.
Now, one person who will never stop working the gimmick and is a national treasure who we will talk about is the tomfoolery of one R-Truth. Because, my goodness, this man knows how to bring the laughs, the guffaws, the comedy, if you will.
We need to get him on this show. That he would fit right in.
Oh my goodness!
Are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh!
I have to ask him how little Jimmy's doing. So,
did you catch the one? Did you see the thing I sent you on YouTube? The promo where him and Triple H were going back and forth, and Triple H started talking to the imaginary people.
It was on Instagram, and I didn't have a chance to watch it yet because we were out in public, and I wasn't sure what sort of inappropriateness would be in the clip, so I haven't listened to it yet. So,
just at one point towards the end, R-Truth is just like, "You crazy." It's great. I'll see if I can post that.
Gosh.
I'll put it on Instagram for all the peoples out there.
Absolutely. How are you doing, sir? How are you on this fine evening?
Well, you already asked me that, but I'm still doing all right. Yes, you did.
I did.
Yes, do I have to roll back the tape seriously? I mean, what proof of that stuff you're drinking over there?
It is 108, I think. Where is it? Where'd I put it?
Search for the bottle.
Where'd I put it? Actually,
There's an inappropriate
yeah,
joke to be made there, but I
108.8.
shan't.
This is a Binny's Beverage Depot pick, Starlight
look at this.
Distillery.
Jeez.
Double Oak Bourbon Whiskey, baby.
Hoping for a sponsorship.
Maybe.
I made this out in my backyard in my own still.
Did you really?
Anyways, we ought to move on with the show here. I believe we need to get to a little segment that we basically, before we get to our main topic, we have a little segment here. I gave this segment to Tim, and it.
Are we reviewing this because we're at 150 and you feel the need to review why we do this?
I do, because honestly, I have to convince myself, because there's times when the Week in Geek has decided it's almost started to annex other parts of the show. Like, it just keeps growing and growing.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to see a power grab live on podcast, here we go.
It's like the early 90s, and I'm sitting in downtown Kuwait just waiting, like, something bad's going to happen. Yeah, enjoy that. How's that
gosh.
in your nostrils?
That is not the comparison I was expecting. Good Lord Almighty.
Gotcha.
Oh,
but anyways, this is for Tim to go over some little bits of information, news, things that aren't quite big enough for a whole show, but in some cases they are, and we just pretend they aren't. Like, we're going to breeze right through them, and
when we get to the 45th minute and realize we're still in the Week in Geek.
Yeah. But this is a little something we like to call the Week in Geek.
The Week in Geek.
Doing the music in real time. I love it.
I feel so funky.
I do feel funky.
And the best part about that is the last clip there ties into the Week in Geek. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
And on that note, over to you.
Salud. Yes, sir. So
heavy lifting now.
Our first item is really a little bit of going back to our last episode, our little bit of contribution to the interwebs. I was listening to our episode over the weekend, as I like to do. I like to hear what we've said, hear how I can improve.
Tim likes to sit there and just go, "Damn, I sound good,
silky smooth, especially with the head gold."
It's like
sorry,
Billy
folks,
D. Williams works every time.
If you came back to see me, constantly blow my nose and sound like I probably should be in bed at 7 at night, no, I am clean bill of health, feeling much better. And
I wanted to have a little tissue counter down in the corner, but I did not have time last week. I'm
57,
sorry.
58. If you get to 60, you should be in bed. What's the matter with you, man?
Wait for you to do a NyQuil keg stand.
Oh, good Lord Almighty. No, that was after the show. But no, we were talking last week. We were doing a little fantasy booking on this upcoming Peacock BSG reboot, non-reboot. We're not sure what
you
it's
can just keep the G off of it. Just as Peacock BS.
BS.
Just fine.
Peacock BS.
Just fine.
It's truthful. I was listening and just had a couple thoughts I just wanted to throw in here after the fact. Mostly a little commentary point that I might have missed with something you shared, because you were, both of us anchored our respective viewpoints, whether it's a reboot or not a reboot, on the whole artificial intelligence craze that is going on around us, and how that's going to be the undoing of this next round of Capricorns or Earth people, depending on which side we were looking at this story from. But Uncle Todd raised something very interesting, because we both had talked about AI as kind of that cultural anchor point, similar to how 9/11 was kind of the anchor point of the 2004 series. But Uncle Todd, in his brilliance, brought up a very interesting point. I wanted to go back to that first season, slow cooking toward the apocalypse, where things build very slowly.
The crock pot apocalypse.
Exactly.
Crock pot apocalypse. Yeah, I was trying to incorporate
the crock potalypse.
That's what I was going for, and I failed miserably. Thank you. Hamana.
Oh, good Lord. But one facet of what you were talking about was, what's the need for these battle stars? Why do they have them? Talking about some friction between the colonies, and as I was listening to us talk about that, and hear you kind of talk about your whole idea. I mean, we kind of missed the point there that's actually a not a bad cultural kind of touchstone to bring out right now. Is just, we are living in a time, sadly, of a lack of unity going on, and how that lack of unity can also be the undoing of certain structures and certain ways of living, because of the inability to kind of hear the other side and empathize and that kind of thing. And so I just wanted to call that out and just give you some kudos, sir, because I feel like that plus the AI thing was kind of a nice microcosm of what we're kind of living through right now a little bit. Although I'm hoping the AI doesn't turn against us. You know what I mean?
Well,
So,
I mean, we've already got the White House talking about AI generated Taylor Swift nudie pics and other stuff. So I mean,
I know
it's scary one way or the other. Like, maybe it's not Skynet, maybe it's just like, ew.
I will have to find the link, but Jimmy Kimmel, I forget if it was an anniversary show of his or if it was to celebrate the anniversary of Back to the Future, but he did a great sketch.
Two very different things, but okay.
Well, no, here's the reason why. Because he was in this theater, different from his regular show, and did this sketch with Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox, kind of coming. It was almost like
they came out in the DeLorean.
They came out in the DeLorean. They were kind of playing their roles.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic.
And one part of it was to your point with the AI just now was they were talking about smartphones. And Doc Brown's like, well, what do you do with them? He's like, well, we primarily sit on the toilet and read. and Christopher Lloyd just gives this very Doc Brown look when that's said. And it was fantastic. And when you just said that, it made me think of that look. So I had to bring that up because that was just phenomenal. I mean,
I wish I could deny that. Oh, no, that's totally no, but that's actually, yes. Yeah.
The best is when he's looking at the phone, he's like, what's a grinder? God bless you, Christopher Lloyd. We love you.
Oh my gosh.
It was so funny. It was so funny. So anyways, just wanted to bring out that little point of that. And then, on my side, the, kind of the one, like one of the things I kind of missed when I was talking about mine with the reboot was not just the restoration of Caprica. I like I mentioned, it would be Earth. Starting point would be Earth. The chase would happen, and the series would end with them arriving at kind of a fully restored Caprica, because hundreds of thousands of years would have gone by at this point. And not only that, but also the rest of the planets. So it's almost like, when I was kind of talking through it, it's almost like the rebirth of the 12 colonies, but it goes back to that cyclical nature of the story of you have the 2004 series, which sees the 12 down to the remnant making it to Earth. And now you have Earth, Earth's remnant now making it back to the colonies, and then kind of reinstantiating the colonies again and that sort of thing. So anyways, thought it was kind of an interesting idea.
Did you say reinstantiated?
Reinstantiating, yes.
I have never heard that word before.
We use it in computer science. When you instantiate an object in code,
yeah,
you create an instance of it, instantiate it.
Dude, I now have to try and work that into a conversation.
You should.
Week. And I'll fail horribly, but still, I'm going to make an attempt.
Maybe instantiation wasn't the right word. Maybe it was reinvigoration.
No, I like that.
I don't know.
I think that works.
But anyways, just a couple thoughts there to throw in on our last episode. So a little self-love in the Week in Geek for us on that front.
That's a good one. And in case you don't know where that episode is, it'll be linked in the show notes.
There we go. 149 comes right before 150. Numbers are an amazing thing.
And 3 is a magic number. That's all I know.
And scrolling is also amazing. You go to Spotify, you go to Podbean, you can scroll. Who would have thunk it?
I don't know.
Anyways.
Dangerous.
All right. Our next article comes by way of fans of the show, ScreenRant.com.
I love how you play that up. These people have no idea who the hell we are. They're better off for it, honestly.
Oh, gosh. And they provide a great article called The 11 Things That Need to Happen in Ahsoka Season 2.
Which should be called The 11 Things That Now Definitely Won't Happen in Season 2 because we wrote about them.
So I just want to run through them very quickly if we could. Some of these are interesting. Some of them are kind of like, But number 11, Ahsoka and Sabine need to get back to the main galaxy. File this under duh. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, LA. Yes, they do need to make their way back, but not without accomplishing their purpose on Peridia first. And we don't know what that is exactly, but I think, as we saw at the end of season 1, they are where they need to be. Anakin is there as the Force Ghost, kind of overseeing things. He's with his former student, and there is a purpose. There is a purpose to them being there, and season 2 hopefully will reveal that. Kind of feel like Dave Letterman here a little bit. Number 10, Balin's goal on Peridia.
Wait a minute, does that make me Paul Schaefer?
I think so.
That's all right.
Balin's goal on Peridia needs to be explained. Once again, file this under duh. I mean, come on. What is season 2 going to be about, for crying out loud, other than seeing Balin? I think the big mystery is who is going to be Balin, and you, sir, proposed a fine idea around, I'm forgetting his name. Is it Liam? Is that his first name, the actor? He's the guy who played Beast. Beast.
Hellboy or Ron Perlman?
You mentioned Ron Perlman, but there was another one, Liam or Lev.
Oh no, Liev Schreiber.
Liev Schreiber, thank you.
Sabretooth.
I think Liev Schreiber would be phenomenal.
You got to admit there is some similarity, and you throw the beard in there, you might be able to pull it off.
Yep.
It would be like either that, or you just have to like kill him off screen. Like, hey, what happened to Balin? Oh, he fell off that cliff. Don't you remember when he fell off the cliff a week ago? Oh yeah.
Yeah, he didn't know the in-flight speed of an African swallow or something like that is from last I heard. But nonetheless, understanding his purpose and his goal would be important. That is true. Number 9, Anakin needs to give Ahsoka a proper apology. I don't know if I agree with this.
No, God, please, no.
I mean,
no.
He turned bad. He did some bad things that, almost impacted her. I get it. But for crying out loud, it's like,
I love how you say he did some bad things. Like he killed an entire room full of young ones.
He was the Dark Lord of the Sith.
And that was before he became Darth Vader. Saying he did a few bad things, it's like Al Capone.
It's all relative.
He had some income tax issues.
Exactly. Just a few. But I mean, I could see a little bit of a reconciliation, or a little bit of a back and forth of regret, maybe from Anakin to Ahsoka about the choices he made. Might be an interesting way to kind of. I mean, the thing I'm worried about here is it becomes a midi-chlorian sort of thing. Like, we don't need to over-explain. Anakin, his redemption. Like, we get it. He
or
turned,
his descent. Like we've gotten 3 movies over that.
Right.
Not to mention, like, then the Clone Wars show.
Yeah. So this is where I'm a little like, I don't know if we need to go here. You know what I mean?
I think going forward 85% of the time, with like 15% being glances backwards, just fine.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to refill before I get to number 8.
Just that's it.
That's right. Thank you. Absolutely. Stevie would approve. Mm-hmm. All right, number 8. Ezra Bridger and Hera Syndulla need a better reunion. Well, here's the problem. You can't have a second reunion. The reunion is the reunion. And when he came back, it was flat, and I don't know. It was kind of like goofy guy comes out with a big smile on his face. It's like we could have had a little more than that.
Well, see, here's where I might disagree just a skosh, like a metric skosh, just because their relationship was always kind of a little weird, so I can kind of get that. It was a little flat, though. You're totally right.
But I mean, she hasn't seen him in years. Like, imagine.
Oh, I get it. Believe me, I get it. And you even allowing for shock. Yes, it fell flat. You're right. You're right.
Well, it's like in college when you hang out with this group of people and then you all go your separate ways. And then
You
get
do know
together.
that I'm agreeing with you, right?
You expect a little more, a little you know what I mean?
I'm agreeing with you like 90%, and you're still.
I'm sorry.
You're
I don't
still
think
trying to
Todd's
chin up an
convinced.
argument.
Do you know?
What the hell do you want from me?
You know when you. Never mind.
God, what is number 8? Can we fight about something else?
I just did number 8. It was Ezra Bridger and Harrison Dooley needed
Good,
a
then we're
reunion.
closer to finishing up. Let's move on to 7.
Number 7.
Wonders. Our numbers are a wonderful thing.
Ahsoka's past in the Ahsoka novel needs to be explored. Having never read the novel, I don't know what I'm missing here. But
No! God, please, no! No!
Again, forward.
Yes.
Forward.
The book apparently sees Ahsoka coping
Onward, Jedi soldiers
with immense grief over the loss of the Jedi, guilt about leaving the Order. It also shows ways she resisted the Empire and looked after Force users during the Imperial era. So I don't know that we got to go there. You know what I mean?
I think that a lot of that is already an undercurrent in her character.
Yep.
I think people kind of get it, and you can explain it in small ways. We do not need to have this be like an overarching theme.
Mm-hmm.
Forward with the story, please.
Indeed. Mr. Crusher, set a course for forward. All right, number 6.
Not 10 forward.
Not 10 forward, but forward. Jason Syndulla needs to grow even more into his Force abilities. I don't know that I need to see this, honestly. I mean, it's great. He's he is the son of Kanan and Hera. Glad to establish in season 1 that he's got those abilities. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't know that, we need to see the kid.
Yeah.
But we have to see. I mean, maybe done the right way, then okay, but I don't need to see him learning Force abilities. I'm more interested in Thrawn. I'm more interested in the main stories that are going on. Those are more interesting.
Yeah. As something that might happen as through the course of the storytelling, sure. As this must happen, I got to say.
No! God, please, no! No!
Yep.
No!
I agree. Number 5, Ezra needs to reveal what he's been up to. So he disappeared at the end of Star Wars Rebels. Like, not he disappeared. The Purgles made him disappear. I could see this being an interesting flashback kind of thing. The problem is, unlike other stories or other characters that I've seen in like back in flashback stories like Lost, right? We didn't see any repercussions of being away for so long. Like when they find him, it's just like, hey, how's it going, everyone? It's me. It's like we're back to like nothing ever happened. And I don't want to say that's a huge missed opportunity, but it feels like a missed opportunity where they could do some storytelling. And not that it has to go to a dark place. I'm not saying we had to find like emo Ezra here or anything like that, but he's living on his own. He's in this desolate planet, and Thrawn's breathing down his neck, and it's like you would think there'd be some stress or some strain that came with that. You know what I mean? And so I don't know, or maybe just do a flashback and tell a story of how he ended up in that community of those little aliens where he just seemed to live without an issue, it seems. So
yeah, he just went and joined like this little hippie alien commune,
basically.
Although the funny thing is, like when you think about it, if anyone who's saying, "Oh, it's so lame that he was there and nothing's happening, he's just hanging out there," okay, so if you actually watch the movies in numerical order, kind of saying the same thing about Ben Kenobi, because sounds an awful lot like that.
Yep.
So you can't really crap on the idea. I don't really need much more than maybe a 3 or 4 sentence explanation of that. It's not that interesting because it's not like he was fighting in guerrilla action against Thrawn this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else is going on? Unless there is something to do with what Balin is doing on the planet and that Ezra discovered something like that and it ties in there, I really don't need to know much.
Yeah.
It could just be I was stuck there and I was making the best of the situation.
And quite honestly, like Thrawn not messing with him while he's there kind of makes sense because he's the sort of pragmatic strategist where it's like, why do I need to go chase this guy? Like, if he wants to go live in the wilderness, go live in the wilderness. I'm not going to waste my resources trying to like kill him.
Yeah, he was
'Cause
already.
what's that going to accomplish? You know?
Yeah, he had enough on his plate.
Yeah.
So it's a background detail. As far as like things that I need to know about this series, this wouldn't even make this list.
Yeah, I mean,
it's such a minor detail to me.
I mean, in a way, if you look, and I know we're agreeing, I'm not trying to over explain, but I think Book of Boba Fett's a great example of that. Like when we found Boba Fett, you know, clearly something was different with him. You know, when he went crazy with the staff and, you know, beat the tar out of those stormtroopers, something changed there, you know?
Yeah.
And so when we saw the flashback and we saw how he was taken in by the Tusken Raiders and how he became one, like that was, I really love that. I know that I know that series took a lot of flack because of the, you know, lack of action or whatever, but that's storytelling. Like that's telling a deep story about a character who underwent a transformation. And I thought that was really cool of them to do that. I just don't sense it with Ezra. You know what I mean? It's just like yes, it was cool. He did the Force-y stuff where he's not using a sword and he's just using the Force, but still there's just like, I don't know. So I think a flashback is okay to like kind of say, here's what I went through, but I don't think we need this in super depth. So
yeah. Correct.
Number 4, Shin and Sabine need to team up. I don't know if I agree with that. I think we need to see.
God, please, no!
I mean, it's kind of the obvious thing with the two younger apprentices.
Yep.
Does it need to happen? I mean, the thing is, I guess with all of these, do they need to happen? It's all going to depend on the story you're telling.
Yeah.
You know, like this is kind of, to me, it's kind of clickbaity, and we're debating it for clicks.
Yeah. Guilty as charged.
To the clicks.
Or Sean Waltman would do. There it is. All right.
Of course, you went with like the lamest member of like the junior member of the clique.
I'm giving
he's
him a little
part
love.
of the original clique. Like he's a tag along. He's like the Scrappy Doo in the clique.
Sean Waltman was part of the original clique.
Really?
It was Nash, Hall, Waltman, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. Those 5.
I thought it was only 4. I never even thought. So I still stand by like I didn't even think of that. He's still a Scrappy Doo part of it. He's like the tag on. Like I could just picture him totally like not what is it? It's Butch and whatever the big bulldog and the little bulldog. I like see him like running around next to Nash, like, "Hey Nash, what are you gonna do?" Now? Shut up! Just smacking him across the locker room. He's back like 2 seconds later.
There was a rumor he was going to be in the Rumble, by the way, Sean Waltman.
Oh God, I hope not.
You hope not. The Rumbles happen.
It's
not going to happen.
I hope it doesn't happen next year either. I'm already preemptively hoping it doesn't happen.
All right.
Like the Rumble was actually nice without having to deal with some of that stuff. But anyways, we'll get to that. All right, what's the next one?
I like Shin and Sabine being against each other, but I could see an interesting, you know, situation on Peridia if they're like forced into a situation together where they have to like depend on each other. We've kind of seen this play out before, you know, enemies put together, kind of come to an understanding, you know, that kind of a thing. But honestly, like their lightsaber fights have been so like great between the two of them. They're kind of like a, I don't want to say they're equals, but in some ways, you know, Sabine shouldn't be as good as she is against Shin, and Shin should probably dominate her, but she doesn't. So it's kind of one of those things where, I don't know, it'd be kind of cool to keep them, you know, enemies. But all right, number 3, Anakin's Force Ghost needs to be actively involved. Well, duh. That kind of was established at the end of season 1.
But how active is a Force Ghost going to be? Like we've never seen a Force Ghost
do
much more than just kind of stand there.
We haven't seen him interact with her. So we've seen Obi-Wan talk with Luke. We've seen Yoda talk with Luke in Last Jedi and you know, rain fire down upon the old ancient Jedi library there. But maybe Anakin, you know, could like I think just a little interaction between the two of them would make it interesting. I don't think we've seen that yet. I think it would be interesting in some ways.
Can we get a cut of like Yoda in Avengers Endgame during the rain fire?
There we go, and
it's Yoda.
No, you got to get the crazy wild laugh out of Yoda.
Oh yeah,
you know, you got to get that going.
The wild, unhinged laugh.
That's right.
Avengers, how I've missed you.
That's right. Let's see. Number 2, Ahsoka and Princess Leia need some connection. Ahsoka and Leia have yet to meet. That's kind of interesting. They do exist in the same time period.
Yeah.
But I know there's that difficulty of somehow making Leia come to life on screen now, because we are no longer with our Princess Carrie Fisher. So I don't know. I don't know that it's necessary. I don't know that I need to see it.
No, I definitely don't.
And lastly, number one, the New Republic need to learn the power of the Night Sisters, and so this is where I'm wondering if in season 2, or if it'll manifest itself in one of these other Star Wars shows, that we've got to start sprinkling in a little bit of Thrawn. We got to start to build toward establishing his ruthlessness and establishing how dangerous he is to the New Republic, especially now that he's got the witches behind him, which I think is going to take the place of what he did with Jorah Sabath in the books. I think the Night Sisters are going to probably take the place of that character, but we got to establish the danger and the threat that's there, and that hasn't happened enough. I think we saw a little bit of it in season 1, but that was a very localized example, and I think season 2 might be a good platform to kind of show that. So that is our 11 things that we'd like to see in season 2. Anything missing that was not called out here that you would like to see in season 2, sir?
The story to move forward and more Thrawn.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. For me, I think it's we're probably going to get more of the same as season 1, because it's going to be the back and forth. What's happening on Peridia? What's happening in kind of the canon galaxy or the original galaxy? But yeah, I'd like to see a little more a buildup of Thrawn. I mean a buildup of Thrawn. I don't want to see Thrawn. I don't want to see any weaknesses exposed. Like I want to see. They got to get him built up and really shown as a major threat. They did a little of this stuff, and I know it had to serve the story, but the way they were able to reach the tower in the last episode and make their way up and do all this damage and stuff, it's not like he's infallible, but we got to establish the ruthless strategy of this character. Like if he's going to be, if his strength is going to be his mind and the way he manipulates and strategizes and uses indirection to throw his opponents off, we got to get more of that. Otherwise, he's just going to be another guy. You know what I mean? And it's not going to be a threat.
True. So. However, in just a vague defense of the assault on the whatever tower or whatever that was.
Yeah.
The fact is, I mean, it'll be interesting to see a well-resourced Thrawn and how his strategy works and how he can defeat someone in short fashion. Because to me, that was actually that to me represented a very Thrawn playing from a very weakened position, and it displayed good strategy in that. Like his sole goal was to get back to the OG galaxy.
Yeah.
That was it. Like he really, if they stay here, fine. If I can kill them, great. But if not, if they stay here and I go, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to hold them off long enough so that I can skedaddle.
Right.
And he did.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, mission accomplished. So to me, that still spoke very well of his strategery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's got to only be with them. You know what I mean? Like they may be established as the ones who have the abilities to get around whatever, but it can't be like that all the time. You've got to get him.
No, and I think that goes to, again, he wasn't well resourced, and that was kind of the plan. Like I'm willing to sacrifice these assets, because I think that'll get me out of here.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Last but not least, a new trailer dropped today.
Oh, yes, it did.
A new trailer dropped today, and that trailer belongs to Ghostbusters.
Almost at 1 million views as of this recording, and it dropped 11 hours ago.
Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Oof.
So we are going to do what we traditionally do on this show, which is we are going to play the trailer for us to see. We will have a link to it in the show notes. We will start, although we have to agree to start it at 00 because there's some sort of like preamble to it before it actually starts. It's like some sort of pre-commercial before the actual trailer.
Well, yeah, and they have the pre-trailer now.
Yeah.
It's like a very shortened teaser, like stinger kind of thing. Yeah.
So we're going to start at 00 and just run it all the way through, but we're going to give a little commentary over it as we watch it.
All right. Are you ready, sir?
I am at 00. Oh, hold on a second. I was at 00 and then it started. All right. I am at 00.
Count us in.
3, 2, 1. Here we go. It's all dark and horny at 12 o'clock. All right.
That's got to be on the T-shirt, right?
I didn't know whose voice this was at first.
Uh-huh.
It was very funny to see that it was Walter Peck.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
He doesn't sound like himself too. It's
well, how many years has it been? 30 years at least since
Yep.
2.
Yep. I love that. Overruled, sustained. Yes.
Where's Chucky when you need him?
That's right.
Heretofore.
That's right. You suspect. What I love the most is that we're moving forward with some other mythology other than Gozer.
Gozer, yes.
And I don't care if it looks stupid or if it looks different or it's like, oh, what is this garbage? I'm giving it a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can tell some good stories.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. The deep freeze of fear. Well, that might be climate change.
Too soon?
I love that. Melnitz in uniform.
We go back to the library or
that
a
is
library.
Phenomenal.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Ernie Hudson, he's got the uniform on too.
Damn right.
What do you want?
Winston ought to get more than a fair shake in this flick.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, the song. Jeez.
I love how meta they go with that. Where they bring the song in like that. That's phenomenal.
Well, they did that in Ghostbusters too.
Oh, that's
what the
true.
song they were dancing to.
That is phenomenal.
You know, the drone trap, I love that.
Yeah, the drone trap. Wonderful.
Frozen
Ghostbusters. And we got to bring Slimer back, of course.
Of course.
Doing his usual. Oh, my gosh. That looks good. That looks good.
22nd can't come soon enough.
March 22nd. What do you think, sir?
Dude, I'm all in. Are you kidding? I still think Ghostbusters Afterlife is a masterpiece. I've watched it several times since we first talked about it here.
Yeah.
I enjoy it thoroughly every single time, and I'm looking forward to this because it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they tackle this flick because Afterlife really was like it felt like a John Hughes film for like the first half of the movie until all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we're in a Ghostbusters movie. And I kind of feel like I'm interested to see how this one is going to go.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to dive right in? Are we, what sort of vibe is going to be playing out here? So, I mean, I'm very interested.
What I'd like to understand is why, and I don't know if this is just, studio politics or what it is, but I was happy to see, the originals in it, in the trailer and be a part of this. But why did it take so long to do a Ghostbusters sequel? You know what I mean? Like
Bill Murray.
Really? So he's all of a sudden okay with doing them now because it's like this is 2-3 years after Afterlife, and I mean here we are.
Well, dude, I mean the fact is, Bill Murray is his own animal. Like Bill Murray does much the same way as someone else whose name we aren't going to mention. Bill Murray does what Bill Murray wants to do. And work or shoot, it's the same result.
Yeah.
Sort of the same thing. with a lot less muscles. But for years, Bill just was not interested. In fact, the only reason that Murray did Ghostbusters in the first place was he had an art house flick, The Razor's Edge, World War I, like drama flick that he wanted to do. And in order to get that financed, the studio said, okay, if you do Ghostbusters, then we'll finance your art house movie. That's why he did the first one.
Interesting.
And I think he for whatever reason, then after 2, he just didn't want to do any. I think part of that is his falling out with Harold Ramis that he had around Groundhog Day, but it just never.
Oh, I didn't realize they had a falling out. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which kind of sucks. They did reconcile apparently once Harold was very close to the end of his life, and I believe Harold was nonverbal, which might have been helped in the reconciliation. But yeah, and now apparently he's okay doing these. I don't know,
because I expected the Paul Rudd and kind of the newbies to be in it. I just wasn't expecting more. Maybe Ernie Hudson, since he's kind of like running the business end of things, it seemed at the end of Afterlife. But
he's now in the Godfather seat.
Oh, he is. Oh, 100%, and I love it.
Oh, me too.
Got to see Godfather Ernie Hudson. Be like,
I want to see him with like a gigantic pinky ring with the proton pack, just something like just overly over the top, and be like, yeah,
or do a little Godfather shtick as he's about to take out a ghost. It's like, you come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding, Santino,
my boy. What they done to my boy?
Well, after all of that, and I'll just give my real quick 2 cents, which is, I'm excited for this, all in the bag for it. I think it looks like I said, it's something different, and I want to see where they're going to take it. And I don't care how hokey it might look. At least they're doing something different. And let's move on from Gozer. Let's work some new mythology into the franchise, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it. And they did a great job with Afterlife. And I don't know if Ivan Reitman's kid is it Jason Reitman, I think.
Yes.
Is he producing this again or directing it again?
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you keep talking, I'll look it up.
But yeah, I mean, let's assume he is. I mean, he did a phenomenal job with Afterlife, and it was a great story. And now the challenge is, can they blaze new territory? You know what I mean? Like Afterlife had a lot of the nostalgic charm of the first one. And I'm sure it'll have some of those notes in this one, but I trust that they're gonna do a phenomenal job with it, and I hope it's a good outing that starts to move the franchise in a different direction.
Yeah. For the record, director of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is Gil Kenan or Keenan.
Okay.
Kenan. So I'm a little puzzled as to which one that is, Keenan or Kenan. Writers Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman, and Gil Kenan.
Oh, okay. All right. So Jason and Ivan are involved with it. So yeah, that's good.
Ivan's slightly less, since I believe he's passed away.
Okay. That's what I thought when you said Ivan Reitman. I was like, oh, so maybe it was a script they were working on before he had passed. Yeah,
I would imagine, because I think it was pretty obvious. Like right when this was coming out, they're totally going to make it another one. Like that was why I think the post credits were so strong in like, hey, and yes, here's comes another Ghostbusters. Like it was already the studio saying, you got another story, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. And God bless him for that.
Well, and on that note, that, my friends, at 43 minutes, we almost pulled it to 45, baby. That, my friends, is a lock, stock, and barrel traditional week in Geek.
Yeah. Just more.
He threw
and more
the gauntlet down. Challenge accepted.
I should have just kept my big mouth shut. Anyways, thank you, sir, for once again annexing more time from the main subject. We really appreciate that. On to the Royal Rumble.
Indeed.
So first and foremost, right out the gate, I just want to say, we will not be discussing the news that was released the day before, 24 hours ish before the Royal Rumble took place, of Vincent K. McMahon retiring from the WWE. And
wrong
TKO,
letter in the middle there. Resigning, I think, is what happened there.
Well, resigning, retiring, whatever you want to say.
The results may be retirement, but the action was the resignation, and rightfully so.
Very true. I got it confused with his previous leaving. I got that messed up. We won't be talking about that at this present time because, quite honestly, we'll both be frothing at the mouth and ranting and rambling and gibbering on. This is probably a topic that we will tackle in its own show.
Mm-hmm.
So not to dodge. It's all horrible. It's all terrible. And we'll leave it at that for the moment, and we'll get on to
and the important thing is there were victims beyond the show. You know what I mean? Like there's more going on there. That So.
Oh yeah. It's all When I say it's terrible, I mean the things that were done, not the fact, not the timing or any way that it might have affected the pay-per-view.
That's not what you were saying, sir. I wasn't trying to correct you there. I just more.
But
I
just want to make. I want to make that clear. Totally agree with you on that. So we are going to discuss the Royal Rumble. This, of course, taking place from Tropicana Field, the former home of the Thunderdome, which was very odd. I guess this really is the first time they've been back at this venue since they were there during COVID and essentially rented out. Like the worst stadium in the major leagues. Just a terrible building for everything except wrestling and New Kids on the Block, apparently, because I did watch the post event press conference, and one of the things that Triple H mentioned, they set a new indoor attendance record for the Trop, and apparently New Kids on the Block were the ones who held the previous record, and he kind of got a good chuckle out of that. And he's like, hey, you're doing well when you beat the New Kids. It's like, all right, fair enough. So yeah, over 48,000 in attendance for this. And this is a big event. There was a lot going on in this. There was a lot of story leading up to this. There was a lot happening and a lot going on for only 4 matches on the card.
Yeah. I was really surprised by that I was expecting more for some reason.
And it still ran damn near 4 hours. I was shocked about midway through the men's rumble, and I'm like, it's 11 now.
Yeah.
We don't even have everyone in the ring yet.
Credit to them for pacing it the way they did. I mean, to even throw an extra match in there would not have been good. Would not have been good.
We might have still been watching at this point.
Yes.
I honestly think, and I'll just throw this idea out at the risk of extending our show even further. I think that there is a case to be made. I know that the Rumble has always been in January.
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania has always been in April. I think there's a case to be made for shuffling somehow, maybe some of these events, or maybe in January we just say, hey, guess what? The only other pay-per-view that extends over 2 nights is the Royal Rumble. Because if you're really going to kick off, I mean, it would be great to have a women's Rumble as the main event one night, men's Rumble that's the following night. Make it 2 hours-ish, and you can have a few more matches. You can have a few more things building, stories taking place outside of the Rumble matches. I know that might cause some problems with, roster availability. However, judging by how things went in those 2 matches, things ain't all that thin. And there was a lot of cats who did not make the Rumble, who were not on this pay-per-view. Believe it or not. So that's just my 2 cents. Any quick reaction to that thought?
No, I agree. I think, there you always run the risk too of fatigue, as well within the same event. And, I think it was, to use an LA Knightism, it was good on them to, start, with the women's Rumble, space it out with the 2 matches and then do the men's Rumble. But it was a lot, and it definitely stood out, and we'll get into it a bit. The lack of reaction at times, some of the action as well being a little clunky. I think that stuff stood out a little bit, across the night. So I think to do it 2 nights and have across those 2 nights, I really like that idea. Like, have the Rumble be the main event, have 3, maybe 4 matches that build up to it on each night. Because there's plenty of championships, to represent there, both on the women's and on the men's side. And so you could make one event, totally. And I know there's that probably that fear of, we're not going to get as much viewership, but I don't think people aren't going to watch if it's solely a women's event versus it being a men's event. I don't think that's the issue.
I don't think you need to even go that. I wouldn't go that far. And believe me, I've been a staunch defender of the women's side of the roster for
absolutely
the past 2-3 years.
Yep.
I just think you kind of, if you're drawing that line, then you're just trying to it can become just trying to fill space if it's not merited.
Yeah.
And I think mixing and matching also, like, it's a little bit, it goes back to that 3-ring circus model of wrestling that Mick Foley mentioned. Like, hey, if you don't like the elephants, well, the clowns are coming out. If you don't like the clowns, well, there's the lion tamer. You've got the different stuff for everybody, and you kind of mix and match.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's enough championships. And if you're really trying to build towards WrestleMania and you're really trying to, I'll say it this way. This is the first time I've really felt this way, because I really felt they had so many stories woven into the Rumble itself. I'm like, man, what's the next step? Well, you have stuff that just isn't taking place in the Rumble.
Yeah.
And you're then using, the Rumble is just kind of the Rumble,
Yep.
So I think that it would be worth a thought, I think.
Yeah. Real quick, breaking news. CM Punk has come out on Raw and confirmed he has a torn right tricep. He will miss WrestleMania. And he said it's a bump in the road. There's always next year. And then they shot an angle on the way out with Drew McIntyre hitting the scene to say he prayed for this and it happened. And Punk vowed to make him his first target upon his return. So I think that's pretty cool. It's like it fits the Drew McIntyre character. And when Punk returns and takes his anger out on Drew, that will be a sight to behold. So.
That sucks, but at the same time, I mean, what are you going to do?
But jumping back to this, because like I like this idea because you could do something very interesting as well, where you have, like for example, like let's say we, like do some fantasy booking. You have the women's Rumble, let's say on Sunday night, you have Rhea Ripley that night defending the championship against, let's say, a Becky Lynch or something like that, or against, let's say, Nia Jax. She retains. You could run an interesting story of then that person who loses being an entrant in the Rumble and earning back, a title shot at rematch at WrestleMania. I think that's interesting. You could have had the Kabuki Warriors defend the tag, the women's tag belts against whoever. There's definitely interesting things they could do with it. I think what WWE needs to do is invest, I think, a little more. What stood out to me, and we'll get into it a bit in the Women's Rumble, is they got to invest more in the characters and really getting them established, because these women are talented. This is not an indictment of a lack of talent. They are talented. The problem is I don't think some of the characters are fully fleshed or really established for the larger audience to react to. And so, and it's hard. It's not an easy thing to do. You can't just snap your fingers and make people care about everyone. But at the same time, when you have people coming out and the crowd just like completely nonplussed by them coming out, like something has to change there, Some of the men that came out that got a reaction didn't get a reaction just because of their character, but they got a reaction because of kind of the story behind it too. Like there was a story going on.
Yeah.
And that to me is what we need to have more of, is to get, I think there's still a huge missed opportunity with someone like a Shayna Baszler, where if they could just get her married up with like a Heyman or some mouthpiece, she could be a super badass. And when her music hits, it means something, you know what I mean? So I just think, seeing how the crowd was there's just room for improvement, I think, for WWE to do on the women's side of things.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously now we're officially into talking about the women's Rumble match. To kind of respond / retort to
yes, sir,
what you said. Yeah, no, totally. I think WWE is at a point now where they may have to consider adding some TV time. You've got a 3-hour Monday night show. You got a 2-hour Friday night show. Might it be time for that Friday show to become a 3-hour show?
Can I retort to your retort?
Okay.
They have Triple H has gone on record and said as saying booking a 3-hour show is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
I think they should take the 3 hours and I know they're trying to do this roster split, but do something different and use those 3 hours to give the women more time or to push the women more.
Well, but that's what I mean is I think that, so my contention is, and I think you're in agreement, it's not a matter of like the women are less talented.
Yes, right.
I think the fact is that you're only going to get these women the reps that they need in front of a crowd, in front of a TV crowd, and putting some real muscle behind the story. Now, I understand we are still coming out of the creative death valley that was the previous regime.
Yep.
And it takes time. It's taken a lot of time. And there's still some things that I think, and we'll talk about it in the match after this one, that I think they are still trying to figure out how to turn around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they need to start putting more of these women on TV. They need to start putting more of them in storylines. They need to put more storyline muscle behind them. I don't, but at the same time, I don't know how you necessarily do that given some of the constraints. Now, we look at the last couple of weeks, and I kind of been spot watching some of the shows when I can, because honestly, I've been kind of getting into some of the stories going on, and you know, I just haven't had a lot of things that I was watching. So hey, why not watch a little wrestling? And I could have done with one less Carlito / LWO versus Santos / what is it, Phantasma or what?
Legados del Fantasma.
Yes, thank you. I knew I was going to butcher that, so I didn't even really want to attempt it. But they've been all over TV the past couple of weeks. One less match, and work some ladies in. Get something going. And then again, the Carter and what's the face team, the ladies tag champs that lost.
Oh yeah, Katana and Casey or something like that.
Yeah. But that's the only tag teams you've seen. I saw them like twice over the last couple of weeks, and I get it. But it's like, who else is there?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that we have to look at too is they're missing Charlotte Flair. So obviously you're not going to have Rhea Ripley or Io Sky, your two champs, wrestling in the Rumble matches. At least the odds were against it.
Yeah.
So you take away, the two people who you've been like, okay, and they're kind of the top draws, and after that you kind of don't have a wild card. The men's roster has a couple of guys who can be wild cards. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, like they don't have a belt, and they can kind of be mixed in here and there in the Rumble, and you're not really sure what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair could have been that person.
Yeah.
She ain't.
Yeah.
And it's because it's not a matter of talent. It's a matter of how that talent is well practiced and well known by the audience. And it's not so much the main event talent, because a lot of the upper echelon ladies. And in fact, some of them have been there kind of long enough that I don't know if they necessarily know what to do with them right now. I'm talking about Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair, because they've kind of been in neutral for a while.
Yeah.
It's that upper mid card level of like the next folks who are going to get over. That's where they're really hurting, because they don't have the experience and or the recognition.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the weakness is.
Although now that I think about it, for the women, they don't have a United States or an Intercontinental Championship.
And that's the other thing. I think that
they need a mid-card belt is what they need.
They need to bring back the TV championship and make it a women's only belt. So it'll be the women's television championship, and it gives you a mid-card belt. Granted, not every feud needs a belt, but it helps sometimes to add some legitimacy, elevate, and to kind of delineate, like, okay, this person, they're not quite here, but they're right around here. They're not down here. It gives you another thing for people to be going after.
Yeah.
And it could turn into almost like an Intercontinental Championship, where that is the workman's or the workwoman's belt.
Right.
That's the worker's belt. And that could be a thing. And I think that could work out really well.
Yeah. I agree.
That was another thing I thought about, just today. I'm like, oh yeah, there's really 3 belts in the women's division.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and two of them are world titles. So it's like,
yeah.
unless you're battling for the world title, you have no ability to really establish yourself. And, there's the tag titles, but that's a different, format or a different style of wrestling that doesn't establish you as a single star. Like I'm looking at my list here because I kept track of the order of who came in and who was eliminated. Like Indy Hartwell, for example. Like, I know of her because 2 or 3 years ago in NXT, they did a really good angle with her, Candice LeRae, Johnny Gargano. They had this faction called The Way, and this one guy, Dexter Loomis, who was kind of this like psycho or something. But they had like this great like story build up to Dexter and Indy becoming a couple and all this sort of thing, and the fans were into it. And I don't care that that's what they did, but it's like it got fans into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they did something that locked them in. But she comes out to zero reaction, and it's like, yeah,
she ain't been on TV.
Why do I? Right, she hasn't been on TV. Why
I
do
didn't
I
even
care
realize
about
she was on
her?
the main roster.
Right,
like I was up for it because I remember her, I think, from a previous Rumble.
Right, but I see like if they had a mid card belt both on Raw and on SmackDown, then you have an ability to get the Zoe Starks or the Zelina Vegas or the Mentions or
or even Shayna Baszler,
right?
Give her that belt,
right,
and then have her defend it like Gunther does,
right?
Like you don't come out. Go ahead and fight for the champion. Go ahead and fight for the championship.
But,
that's for the people who want to be a sports entertainer.
Right.
You want to come after me,
right?
You better be ready for a fight.
But give them the time to do the things that like a Gunther does. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Gunther gets mic time. Gunther gets ring time. Like that's what they got to do. And could they expand SmackDown to 3 hours? Sure. But I really think like if they just take what they're doing on Raw, if they took one of those hours and really dedicated it to the ladies, I think they do a great job of like, I think they'd be able to add some depth to the roster and really build them out.
Yeah. I think it comes down to just there's a lot of storyline muscle, creative muscle being put towards creating great storylines and let's face it, for what is, I think a lot of people see as the money makers of WWE. The Roman Reigns, the Randy Ortons, the CM Punks, the Cody Rhodes, all that. And hey, I get it. You're trying to make money and you figure that's what we have to attack first. Fine. I think they're getting around to that with the ladies. And I say that because of the Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch interaction, which was a very interesting promo a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Where it's not just all bluster. You actually have like someone who has been to the top of the mountain, one of the most recognizable stars you have, and they're saying, you might be better than me.
Right.
A character who would never admit something like that before.
Yep.
And I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool. Now you're taking me in a different direction. Almost like the Cody CM Punk promo from this past Monday of, I'm actually more CM Punk than you are. I'm more American Dream than you are.
Yep.
Like, it's okay. This is kind of cool. So I think they're working their way over there. It just needs to be more. And I'm hopeful that as they seem to be hitting a creative stride with a lot of the men's storylines, that it's going to start filtering into the women's division, and we're going to start seeing a lot more happen there. And I think getting seeing how some of the ladies were received and what they were able to do in the Rumble, like a Jade Cargill, I think all of a sudden now that is a huge, huge asset to them in terms of like, okay, we can go a lot of different directions this way.
Yep.
So I did this ups and downs thing, mostly just for the
which
Rumble
I like
matches, because it was like there's so much to talk about. We could get into like doing like a oh my gosh, that thing's, just put a straw in it. Just put a straw in it, you'd be fine. We could go into like our old Battlestar Galactica thing, where essentially we're going scene by scene by scene by scene and just replaying the thing for you. But some ups for me. First and foremost, Jade Cargill debut was holy crap, so good. So good.
One thing they do well
great reaction
is not talking about someone who's around, so you forget about them, and then doing something like this. Like I did not and I didn't see it in any of the websites either. No one said anything about Cargill being a part of Royal Rumble. So that was a great
Well, she's
secret.
been signed for months now, and it wasn't even so much a secret. Like, they signed her, and I was expecting after Charlotte Flair got announced with the injury that they were going to throw her in.
Yeah.
Just throwing her on TV, and they didn't. They waited, and they have been patient and waited for the right moment, and I think this was the right moment. There has been some criticism directed at her from I think Meltzer had something negative to say, which I was like, just shut up, you old fart. You just dry, empty fart. Just shut up. But she was amazing. Jordan Grace, holy cow.
Yeah. What'd you think of her, man?
That, you know what? In the same way that I have said Rhea Ripley has it, I've only seen her for a few minutes, but I was like, I think she might have it.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, Impact is got to be glad that they have her. And honestly, if WWE can play nice with Impact and vice versa, and they can kind of share some talent, like there's talks of Bianca Belair maybe going to Impact and having a match there and working that, dude, that'd be a great way for them to actually enhance that women's division, because Jordan Grace, star.
Well, and
no freaking doubt about it.
And what I thought was really very good of them and very cool of them to do is all the little things around her coming into the Rumble, like the announcers, were really pumping her up.
Oh yeah.
They gave her a moment with Naomi, and so I don't watch Impact at all, but I do. I follow the wrestling websites. I follow what kind of goes on in the other the other promotions, and I knew that Naomi was rumored to be coming back. She dropped the title to her, I think, a week or two ago at a pay-per-view. And so to give them a moment where they could just kind of in the fans too getting into it, because they know, they're in this too.
Yeah.
To have that moment, and then right away for them just start beating the tar out of each other, I thought was just phenomenal. That was great. But to give her as much, she had so much time in the Rumble as well.
They did, and they gave her a lot of time, and they gave her a lot of leeway to look strong.
Yes.
Physically strong. Like, her character was very strongly represented.
And this was something that always faltered under Vince, was this idea that his guys always had to look the best. Like, this is why the whole invasion angle fell apart, because Vince could not let WCW look strong. He could not let ECW look strong. Oh, absolutely.
That's
absolutely. All. And then you have Triple H, who not only from the booking that you saw, but then afterward in the post-event press conference, complimentary to TNA Impact for allowing her to come, complimentary to her for the talent that she is and her showing at the Rumble. And it's like, that's how simple it has to be. It's just like, you don't have, it doesn't have to be this, whatever Vince made it in the past. You know what I mean? Like, it's very refreshing to see someone who can appreciate good talent, bring them in, let them shine on a stage they otherwise wouldn't have had an opportunity to, and let it be a spectacle for the fans and let the fans enjoy it.
Yep.
And this is why I think Triple H does a really great job at this, is because I think he's very attuned to what wrestling fans want to see. And why Vince failed so heinously over the last few years is because he is out of touch with what the fans want to see. And
reality.
And reality as a whole, apparently. So.
And morals. Yeah. No, it was all good. And yeah. Where was I? Oh, another up. Becky Lynch blessing Chelsea Green before eliminating her. That was beautiful. It was a beautiful little bit of business. Like, I'm just like, and that's why she's a star. I've said before, and I'll say it again. Like, I don't think her offense is the most believable, and I think sometimes she can look a little ridiculous, quite honestly. But at the end of the day, I still love that character, and I love her as a performer. So, I mean, you take those little flaws, but the overall package is phenomenal. For me, the downs. You called it the Nia Jax Piper Niven black hole of charisma in the ring for a while.
I think I called it a black hole of suckitude.
Oh, it was just a vortex.
Vortex of suckitude is what I called it. Yeah, that's right.
Another down was the 50% of the ladies who got little to no reaction,
Yeah,
which
we
we've
covered
already
that.
kind of beaten that to death.
Yeah.
A down for me, like, not so much because I care one way or the other, because honestly, I don't know much about her as a wrestler or her character. But Chelsea Green's future in the Fed as a punching bag, apparently, or a tackling dummy, it was hilarious. But after a while, I'm like, how long before she's getting released? Like, how many days before she's future endeavored? Because this seems like a oh, is this what I'm doing? What do you have for ups and downs, sir?
You covered some of them. So yeah, I mean, I think universally Jade Cargill's debut was phenomenal. I think the fact that she took out Nia Jax was the right way to go. Like establish her physicality, her dominance.
Oh yeah, and that was one of the things that they held against her. Like Meltzer held against her. Like, oh yeah, she just tossed out Nia Jax. I'm like, first of all, thank you. Second of all,
yeah,
like that's where you make someone look
for the
strong,
record, Dave Meltzer is a Young Bucks like fanboy, and I don't even listen to that guy.
Is he basically on the payroll for AEW?
I think so. But no, Cargill, great debut, great intro. They really showcased her well. I love the standoff between her and Belair. And
oh my gosh, the two
and
of
Belair
them.
not being the past, Belair being the present, but Jade being the future, and the two of them being equally, jack stacked and just really solid, performers. I think there's a real future there, for a good rivalry there. I am not a big fan.
Do you think? Do you feel like? I mean, Cargill. You can't say she's a star. I don't think she's there yet. But there is like a raw charisma there. Like you just see her, and you're like,
yeah, she's a star because of what she had done and the notoriety it brought her at AEW. But yes, she has to now kind of prove herself in WWE, and so absolutely. I am not a fan of Michael Cole, but Michael Cole made me laugh hysterically when it was a Chelsea Green or Tiffany Stratton or who the hell? Oh no, Maxine Dupree did a reverse worm, and the announcers are going back and like, what do we call this? And all of a sudden Michael Cole's like, the larva, and they're all just like, and then they lose it. Both McAfee and Graves just like lose it. They're like, yep, that's it, you got us,
And apparently, when Valkyrie came down, or no, Valhalla.
Valhalla, yeah.
We found out that Michael Cole has an antler fetish. I never would have guessed.
Apparently so.
I'm not going to look that up online. No. I don't need to mess up my algorithms.
No, you don't.
I'm even on private browsing. I'm not.
The authorities might come to your door.
either that or a bull moose. Like,
sir, you have a problem.
Come with us.
During the match, there was a lot of highlights, but one thing that just stood out to me was just I love the simultaneous forward-backward DDT that Becky Lynch did. She locked someone in the traditional forward DDT sort of headlock, and then she had someone in the old Sting Scorpion death drop sort of hold, and laid them both in, and it was just phenomenal.
That was awesome.
R-Truth. Can we just agree he is a national treasure? This man comes running down in the middle of Valhalla's entrance and seems to think he's supposed to be in this match. Now, the only thing that was missing from this entire thing was him getting on a microphone, looking around at the crowd, at the referee, and everyone yelling at him, and just being like, "My bad."
Yeah.
That's the only thing that was missing from that, was having him do that.
Yeah.
But no, just great comedy to have him come. Like, the best part is he's like, he's being explained, this is a women's rumble. He's like, there's women? Like it's like, yes. I mean, it's just like, it was so well done. The way he does his shtick is just phenomenal. So, and then Bayley and Naomi as the Iron Women. Credit to Uncle Todd. He called it very early on that Bayley was going to be the Iron Woman of this match. And not only was she that, but she was also the winner at, I think she clocked in at 1 hour and 3. I believe.
Yeah, she broke Rhea's record from last year.
Yeah. So,
although, I mean, Naomi, I'm so glad they gave her. It's nice to see they gave her a very strong presence and really kept her in the match. I really appreciated how they might have done this in the past, but I'd never noticed it. They gave the times of how long the different participants had been in the Rumble.
Yeah. I don't think they did
kinda
that
down
last
to that.
year. I don't remember that.
That was such a nice touch
It
to see
was.
that and to
Very
kind of like
sports-like.
see 3 of them. Yeah.
Very sports-like. Very sports-like.
Naomi at times disappeared. Like you could tell she powdered out and was like catching her breath off to the side of the ring or something. Because
I felt a couple times she and Jordan Grace were off in the corner, just swapping stories of what they've been doing the last 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Just sitting in the corner.
They might have been under the ring having a hot dog or popcorn or something. I don't know what it was, but like they were like she was just not in the ring at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, when did Naomi get eliminated? And then all of a sudden she's back. I'm like, am I hallucinating? What's going on?
Yeah.
But no, that was really good to see.
My downs were and Uncle Todd and I were both watching this live, so we were texting each other. But and I hate to say this because I am a very big supporter of them elevating women's wrestling and women as a whole. But something was off. I don't know if it was towards the beginning of the match. The rhythm of the women in the match was just off, and I don't know if it was just a coordination thing or what was going on, but rhythmically, things were not clicking. Like they were trying to do spots, and you could see them calling them, and it was just like everyone was. I don't know if it was nerves or what it was, but something was off.
I think especially in the opening 3.
Yes.
Given the amount of experience of those 3 ladies, it should have gone a lot smoother. I think the fact that Naomi being back and maybe not, even though, I mean, she's worked with these women before.
Yeah.
But maybe just the recency of having been with a different group and maybe operating at a different speed and coming back here and the adrenaline and everything else. There were definitely times where she was so far ahead and was obviously waiting for somebody to do the move and things like that. And it was very clunky.
Although, but then Jordan comes in, Jordan Grace, who's not even in this promotion.
Yeah.
And came from where Naomi came from. And she looked way crisper than any of the other ladies who came in the beginning. I mean,
granted.
So
yeah,
I
think it's just a matter of it's just the way things are. Because I mean, I could have said that about any of the last 2 or 3 men's Rumble matches, and the last 2 or 3 years when we've done these reviews, I have consistently rated the women's matches above the men's because it was smoother.
Yep.
So I mean, maybe it was just their year to have a rough beginning. Once they got about 15, 16. Things started smoothing out. Like by the middle of the Rumble, they were really hitting their stride.
But my LVP for the women's Rumble is by far Piper Niven, and when I say LVP, I mean this in the strongest terms possible, because literally I saw at least 3 or 4 occasions of she was walking around the ring, and one of the other women had a woman on her shoulder with her feet kind of off to the side and swung them so that they grazed Piper's hair. And Piper sold it like she was shot. You know what I mean? Oh, there we go.
By the way, we're recording video now, so the YouTube just saw you walk in with your towel.
I doubt that.
The babushka.
Tim did, so you going to bed?
Yeah.
All right. Good night.
Otherwise, I'm reading for 30 minutes.
Okay. Love you. Ladies and gentlemen, Kaylin.
Not just Kaylin, but crackling Kaylin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
but
Niven was just I don't know what her deal was, but she was selling when she shouldn't have been selling and not selling when she should have, and it was just I don't know. I felt bad for her, but it was at the same time like, my God, you're a professional. Come on now.
LVP for me goes to Nia Jax.
Well,
sorry
for you. That's just on principle.
It's when you're trying to put over so hard, this run for Nia Jax is different. I'm like, no, it's not. And especially then when she unceremoniously dropped Shayna Baszler like a sack of potatoes outside of the ring.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at that. Same old Nia Jax, still ready to hurt anybody at the drop of a hat. Any hat at all. No, it's not. I just don't believe in her. I don't believe her character. She, I cannot stand her character.
Yeah.
She could be believable as this, this killer, this just killer heel, except her facial expressions are terrible. Her body language is terrible. Her promos are unbelievable. Like the entire thing, like Corny went off on this whole thing, and I'm like, yeah, he's going a lot overboard in some areas than I would, but yeah, it's like, it's not just like anything in particular. Like I just don't buy it.
Yeah.
And I never have. Like even when she was with Shayna Baszler, like her facial expressions, everything was just not good.
Mm-hmm.
And I get why they have her, and I get why they're trying to make it work, because they want somebody to be physically imposing, and they want variety in who's on the roster and all that. You've got a lot of ladies who are, I mean, quite honestly, like Ivy Nile, Liv Morgan, like that kind of size. Nothing wrong with that. They're hell of performers, but you also want to have some folks who are a little bit taller, who are more, jacked and athletic, and then you want some folks who are just like big and imposing. And she fits the bill, except she undermines it at every other turn.
Right.
It's like,
yeah, okay,
but, hey, she'll probably always have a job as long as she wants, because it's sort of like the NBA. Like you can't coach height.
Yep.
You can't coach someone to be 7'1". So you'll always be gainfully employed. You might be making the league minimum, but you're going to have a job.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I agree.
I gave the ladies Rumble a 2.5. I was right down the middle for me. And that's kind of painful, because I think I've been around 3.5 most of the other years I've watched this.
I gave it a 3 because, to your point, I think as it wore on, it got a little better. I liked what they did with like the Jordan Grace stuff was what really won me over, because they just have how nice of a job they did with her. When she was eliminated, it was done, I think, in a classy fashion. She had a good back and forth with Bianca, who would be considered a contemporary of hers, and Bianca just got the better of her, and she did it in pretty devastating fashion. I mean, like Jordan took a KOD on the side of the ring, which, I don't know how she protected herself. I'm sure they have a way, there's got to be a way of doing it. Otherwise they wouldn't have done it. But it was a pretty nasty way for her to get eliminated. And yet I think it's a badge of honor in a way.
Yes.
Jade's debut is great. I think the way they were, both Rumbles had great options for potential winners. And so I did not see Bayley coming out of this as a winner. I thought it was going to be Becky Lynch to challenge Rhea Ripley. But I'm happy with Bayley. I think there's a great story to be told there. I'm kind of hoping she's going to go against the grain and challenge Io Sky for her women's championship.
That's the rumor right now. Is that will be the choice.
I think that would be great. So yeah, overall I gave it a 3.0. I thought it was slightly above average, but I couldn't go much beyond that, because the beginning really, I mean, the first half of it just really bothered me, just how clunky it all was. It just didn't feel like a well put together match, from the women's side of things. So
yeah, I will say this: they did read the room very well.
Yeah,
and were very ahead of the curve, because as soon as Bayley came out, she was getting chants.
Yeah. Yep.
And she's a heel.
Yeah.
I mean, Damage Control is a heel faction.
Yep.
And Bayley's getting chants. I'm like, that is pretty cool.
Well, and that's because there's an organic, sort of, swelling for her that's going on with the fan base, because they're counting down the seconds until the rest of the faction turns on her. So it's one of those things that they see it coming from left field, but they just they're slow rolling it. So
it's like every time Sting joins a faction, it's like, okay, and the clock is running on when someone's going to betray Sting.
Yes,
and he never sees it coming.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
So next up, we had the WW. Isn't it Universal Championship, or is it Undisputed Championship now?
I think it's Undisputed Universal Heavyweight Championship, because they combine the two belts.
Okay, well, if it's undisputed, then what's all the fighting about?
I don't know. One thing I will dispute is I liked it better when he came to the ring with two belts. It just looked cooler. I know it's more weight for him to carry. I know the wise man, probably has some heart palpitations going on. He can't be carrying two belts of, 30 pounds each
We need to get Paul onto a treadmill. We need Paul around for a good long time,
gosh.
and it's not looking positive right now.
No.
I mean, the man looks like he's sweating out full fat butter when he's around the ring, and he's not doing much.
I feel for him having to wear a suit in the arenas, because you see him come on camera and he's just pouring sweat.
Well, what do you want? You want him in a pair of sweats? I mean, I think the suit is good. Like, maybe it's kind of tucking things in.
Well, that could be.
So this was a fatal 4-way match between Roman Reigns, the champion, LA Knight, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton. I gotta admit, as soon as this match came out second, I was like, well, we know how this one's turning out, because there's no way even though I did text you and I said, wouldn't it be incredible if they pulled the trigger on the LA Knight era now? There was no way it was going to happen second match of the event. No way. You're not going to do that. So I was like, oh, second match, Roman retains. Period. The end. What'd you think of this one, sir? Besides like the 20 minutes worth of intros.
I thought it was good for what it needed to be. You know what I mean? Like it was it started out. I loved how it started out with all three of them just beating the piss out of Roman Reigns. You know what I mean?
That was good. Where at first he's watching all three of them fight.
Because all three of them had beefs with him. Like he injured. You know, he had taken out Styles and Orton. Knight had legitimately had him beat, if not for his family members coming down and interfering. So I thought it was a nice touch for all three of them to take turns beating on him. And then it devolved because you had Styles and Knight fighting each other, which, by the way, is a rumored WrestleMania 40 match, LA Knight versus AJ Styles. I think that's going to be phenomenal. No pun intended there.
Let's hope they keep going with AJ Styles heading down the heel path.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, Knight is the baby face. Knight is here.
I mean, I hope that they manage to build Styles into like a gigantic heel, because right now they really have a shortage of heels besides Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. So they need somebody, and they need someone who is. I kind of dig the way that they're portraying Styles right now. Like he doesn't really care. Like, if I'm aligning with you, it's only because this is what I want to do, and I'll turn on you in a heartbeat because I just don't care.
He did this character when he was in TNA Impact. He'd gone to New Japan Pro Wrestling. He kind of developed this lone wolf sort of character, and I feel like that's what they're bringing back here. Is he's kind of his own man, like you said. He will team up with you until it serves his purposes, and then he'll turn around and stab you in the back. But no, I loved how the action took off. Love the spot where they're outside of the ring and LA Knight is just like taking each guy and just banging his head into the announce table, talking a bunch of smack. I mean, it's
great.
It's not even, and I know he gets a lot of flack for being kind of an Austin Rock ripoff, but no, he has his own style. Like this guy has been doing this stuff for years, and he is not. I do not feel that just because he is loud, boisterous, and charismatic, he's ripping off Austin and Rock. Otherwise, everyone's ripping off Austin and Rock. I'm sorry.
Well, who are Austin and Rock ripping off?
Well, exactly.
They were borrowing from. I mean, borrowing in the loosest term. I mean, Oh no, it's fine. Like he does it his own way, like you say,
Absolutely.
and it's a very different thing. The package is very
and it's
different,
hysterical. I mean, that's part of what his charm is that it's not just that he's talking smack, but he's doing it in an entertaining way where you have to chuckle at him because it's just so it doesn't feel like it should be there, but it's there and it makes you laugh because it's there. You know what I mean?
If anything, he's like if The Rock had like shotgun 3 Red Bulls before he came down to the ring. Like, not only is he a guy just looking for a fight, like it looks like he's gonna just like chew the microphone up because he's ready to go.
Yep.
Yep. Oh no, it was great. Actually, one thing I wanted to point out.
Yeah.
I love how they did have the extra long entrances for everybody because it was equal time. But stopping in the middle of all the entrances for the Slim Jim commercial, I was like, what in the hell is going on? Like, is this the beginning of a stroke?
Well,
because I feel like this is a fever dream.
Because LA Knight is tied to Slim Jim.
I understand that, but I was like, we're stopping in the middle of really? Are the people in stadiums seeing this commercial too?
Let me talk to you.
I was like, all right. And Bianca Belair. I was like, okay, fair enough. Like, why not? Why not? Makes perfect sense. But anyways, and that and the other thing I just wanted to make sure I get out of the way here, because I know that a lot of people will probably say, having watched our videos and being avid watchers, and I know that, I know there's some sort of toady at Titan Towers who's been watching our show, because I've seen some of our ideas come to fruition. So it's all right. I just want to make sure that I've been very critical of one Mr. Again, put a straw in it, sir. For God's sake. A lot of little glasses just add up to it. Just get a pint glass. I've been very critical of Roman Reigns over the years. I would say with reason, but regardless, I just want to say, I want to say something nice and positive.
Oh.
I think it was very nice of Roman to show up for work this quarter.
Oh, God.
That really takes a lot of dedication for him.
Yes.
To come out and defend his title in the first quarter of 2024. That was very big of him. So I just want to thank him for that and give him some kudos for that.
Well, while we're giving props to him,
yes,
I got to give props to his fine back body drop to AJ Styles. Probably a lot of that is attributed to Styles launching off of him the way that he did. But good God, did you see the air that he caught before he landed on the mat?
Any move except for a spear. I was shocked. I was shocked.
I know.
It's amazing.
What are your thoughts on LA Knight in this running, jumping suplex from the top? Is that not the greatest move in the world?
Oh my gosh. I saw him do that and I'm like, just please, dear God, don't let him fall on his ass.
Yep.
Because this could be amazing. It was great. It was absolutely
He lands it every freaking time, but I understand what you're saying, because I think the same thing. I'm like, oh my God, I hope he doesn't, slip on the rope, or, it just feels like something that someone could screw up, and he just he nails it every time, and on a grand stage like that is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I love the storytelling behind Styles ruining Knight's pinfall on Roman Reigns after hitting his finisher, and then vice versa. Like AJ Styles, I mean, it was painfully slow getting there, but we got to the Styles clash. Part of that I blame on Roman, because his stupid arms were not in the right place at the right time. Oh my God. But great storytelling there. I love the 3 RKOs in a row. Randy hitting him on all 3 guys was phenomenal.
It was literally like an orange whip.
3 orange whips. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. And then Styles just beating down, Reigns was again phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
So
no, it was great. And then there was what else did I have down for a note here? So we'll kind of disagree on this.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated the fact that when they did the pile for the pinup, that's a totally different thing. A pile up for the pin.
Yes.
That they actually did go the extra distance to make sure that I forget who the first 2 guys were.
I think it was Styles and Knight.
Okay, so they both had their shoulders on the mat. Like they were draped over each other in such a way that they made sure that both of their shoulders were on the mat. So it's a simultaneous predicament. So they were like, oh, well, it's not a pin because they're both on the mat. And then even when they stacked up the third guy, all 3 of they managed to drape them in a way, which is a detail that I think can get overlooked.
Yeah.
And to me, that was one of those little things that really shows just how experienced all 4 of those guys. I mean, well, the 3 guys who are pinned up, because I mean, let's face it, Roman probably would have had his hair touching the mat.
Good God.
But overall, like I gave this match a 4 out of 5. It was a good match. I will say it was a good match for the 3 guys who were not the champion. That was the reason why it was a good match. And I usually do not like the 3-way, 4-way, fatal 4-way, fatal 3-way, whatever, matches, because like I've said before, usually it involves like one guy powdering out of the ring for an immense amount of time. And then they just rotate that around. So it ends up a 1-on-1. Like they did a very good job of this being all 4 guys kind of active most of the time.
Yeah.
And keeping the action moving. so that it didn't become boring and you didn't forget about somebody for a prolonged period of time. So I thought that was really well done, and that's what really kind of my rating went so high. I might have even been tempted to give it more, but I can't in good conscience go higher than that when your champion is the least interesting part of the match, and that's what everyone's fighting over is the championship.
Yep.
And it's like I have been keeping track, but I think this is like the 79th BS finish for Roman, and he only wrestles like 4 matches a year, so that's taken a while. I'll just use this as my soapbox moment here. I think they need to get the belt off of Roman. I think this is one of those things that creatively it's taking a while to turn around, and I think they've painted themselves into a corner. It's taking a long ass time for the paint to dry so they can figure out how to get it off them. I think they would love in some ways to continue the Vince plan of, he's going to break Hogan's record. Unfortunately, even the non-smart fans, even the non-smarks understand it's not the same. Hulk was working a full schedule. Roman is barely defending the title.
Yep.
And if you have any other title and you get hurt, like Seth Rollins at this point, he's like, I could work in 3 months. That's when Roman's scheduled to wrestle next. How come I can't hang on to my title in all that time? And what's your argument against that exactly? You need to get the title off of this guy, and then just make him go away, and then you can bring him back. Like I think you need to have Cody beat him at WrestleMania. And just have Roman go away for like 8 months. Just disappear.
Yeah.
And then he can come back. And then maybe you get a rematch at the next WrestleMania or something. And all in total, he'll be working the same amount of time in those 3 or 4 months that you have in the build up to that he has in basically the whole year anyways. Just do that. Get it off him. It's so terrible to have like the biggest draw in your company be a part-time guy and everyone kind of forget, like everyone pops for the entrance and then they're like, oh yeah, it's the same match. You got to get this.
I agree with you that the formula for the match is getting old.
Oh, it got old.
Like
3 matches ago, which I mean is like 6 months.
Though, I don't know why, but for some reason I like his vibe when he comes to the ring and just his vibe as the champion. Like the fact that he is this guy who comes in only at certain times. I don't know why I'm digging it more than I mean, I guess I dug it somewhat with Brock Lesnar as well, but there's something special about a guy like that, and it gives him a certain aura. It gives him a certain sense of specialness. I know you don't agree because you don't like him, but I
like him a lot more if he actually wrestled. Like his moveset has shrunk over the last 2-3 years I've seen him. It just keeps getting, I mean, and I get it. Like the bigger you are, the less you do. It was always with Austin, like a Thez press, stunner, done. Like fine.
Right.
But at least Austin was around. Roman isn't even around to really carry any of these storylines. It's always his surrogates. And he's not actually winning the matches either.
Yeah, but I do think it's coming to an end because
thank God.
Last year, no, and a lot, and again, this goes back to a lot of credit going to Sami Zayn. I really believe Sami Zayn allowed this entire faction and storyline to exist for a year longer than it probably was going to, because of the fact that a year ago at this time, what we were talking about was the chair shot heard around the world, which is when he finally turned his back on Roman after trying to work his way into the bloodline for so long, seeing his friend get brutalized by this group that he's with, and finally just saying enough is enough and whacking Roman in a way that no one ever thought he would. That, I think, probably is what allowed them to extend this past WrestleMania 39. I think without Sami Zayn, you have Cody going over Roman and starting, finishing the story, but starting a new chapter of what now this means for Cody. Now I think we're headed toward, obviously, and I loved how they did it at the end of the match where it was a stare down, kind of in a way between the two of them. Roman knowing exactly whose, shot Cody was going to call. to have a second shot at him at WrestleMania. The key is going to be, how do they get the family out of it? Because as long as Solo, I mean, I'm sure Solo and Jimmy are going to play some part of it, but there's got to be something happening this year that's different, that's going to keep them out of it, that's going to allow him to hit the trifecta of Crossroads like he did at last year's WrestleMania. He's going to hit his move 3 times. He's going to put Roman down finally, and the crowd is going to go, completely ballistic because of it.
I'm calling it right now.
Yes, sir.
Hell in a Cell.
You know what? We don't see Hell in a Cell in WrestleMania very much, do we?
Have we ever?
You're
the one who would know this.
We do, but not under great circumstances. And I say that because
is that the Boss Man Al Snow one? No. Are you serious?
That's the match that sticks out. Otherwise, I don't think we've had a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania mostly.
Poor Pepper. Can we pour one out for Pepper? Don't you dare.
Keyboard don't you dare. I'm going to have one fried keyboard if I did that.
So what did you end up giving this one, sir? I can't remember.
I gave it a 4.0. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was a, just a well put together match. Great storytelling. I think the other 3 principals in this, Randy, AJ, LA, did that's funny. Actually, AJ and LA, that's going to be a good match. It's going to be the match of the acronyms. But anyway,
and Randy.
That's right. Randy and RKO, LA, AJ, RKO. No, I thought it was a good match for what it was. To your point, I don't think anyone really expected there to be an upset tonight. Or that night, and so I think it was what it was, and it served as a, in some ways, an exorcism of some demons from a couple of these characters based on how they were maligned and injured by Roman Reigns, but he ends up coming away and remaining champion, and so, but we know why, because he is going to live to fight another day for someone else to take him down, and that someone is going to be Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania 4.
Right on. All right, I need to take a break for our sponsors. In other words, I need to go use the little boys' room here, so I'll be back.
Our sponsors, whatever fine toilet makers, is that what you're talking about?
Dewey, Cheatham and Howe, our law firm.
There we go.
A few moments later.
I started watching the full segment of CM Punk confirming he'll miss WrestleMania. He does not look happy.
Well, I mean, how can you be?
Yeah, I know.
All right, check this out here.
Yes.
I want to see how this looks in the light.
What'd you refill?
So that is the pecan-infused Wild Turkey 101.
Nice. Very nice.
I had some of that the other day, but I think it needs to be on ice.
How is it pecan infused? Is there a pecan sitting in there? Did I miss that?
No, I did it. So essentially, like, toasted some pecans on a cookie sheet.
Mm-hmm.
The ice really brings out the pecan. Oh shit, that's good.
It's just going to be part of it when you're going to post it. The pecan is lovely.
So just toast them on a cookie sheet on some parchment paper.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I think I did it like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then throw those into a mason jar. I just had like a glass pitcher. And then like the recipe I found said like 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract or like 1 vanilla bean. I didn't have a vanilla bean. I thought 1 tablespoon of extract seemed excessive. So I did a little bit. I just did a quick little dash just to start out with, and then just pour the wild turkey over it, kind of mix it around a little bit, cover it, like airtight, and then just let it sit 5 days. I let mine sit 7 just to make sure I had because I tasted after 5 days. I'm like, I kind of want a bit more of the pecan. And you can just actually leave the pecans in there and keep it like soaking. But the pecan flavor infuses, and this is definitely like a deeper color.
Mm-hmm.
Like it definitely it's a darker color.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. I'm so that pecan is like so strong right now.
Nice.
Oh, that is.
So you soak the pecans. You put the pecans in the bottle.
Well, no. So I mean, you could if you had a bottle that was like half done or
Yeah.
3/4 full. You probably could force pecans in there, but I use like the whole pecans, so it would have been tough. I just poured it into a glass pitcher over the pecans and then just sealed that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then after I'm done, you pour it through a sieve just to make sure if there's any little bits and stuff, it doesn't wind up, and then I just poured it back into the 101 bottle.
Nice.
Oh, so good. Anyways, we should get back to this.
We should. We're at 1 hour and 47 minutes, sir.
I know. Well, it's just the way it is. All right, so now back to our show here. Let's see. Next episode, next match up is the WWE United States Championship on the line with Logan Paul, another part-time champ, defending against Kevin Owens. Sir, what were your thoughts on this one?
Respect.
All right.
Well, no. I'm thinking
about
about how to order my
comments.
comments.
For nothing.
Thinking about how to order my comments. So I'll start with Logan Paul.
Okay.
I texted you that he's showing that he belongs, and he truly does. Like, this is not a case of them just throwing a championship on a celebrity and this person not being able to represent.
Yeah, this is not a David Arquette situation.
Logan Paul brings it, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And you can tell he puts the work in, and you can tell he is a student of the game, because he is, he's selling, he's doing moves, he's doing.
What did he pull out? The octopus or something like that? Like
he pulled out the octopus, which is a rare submission hold that not a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And so
he's such a gifted natural athlete.
He is. He is
a natural
absolutely.
heel.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. He's almost Dominic Mysterio level.
Yes.
People see him and want to hate him.
Yes.
Part
of it, I think, is because the United States Championship is such a beautifully designed title that it's almost criminal it's in his possession. You know what I mean? It's just like, I want to boo you because that fine-looking belt should be with someone more deserving than you.
Yeah, it makes, honestly, I mean, not to paraphrase Anchorman the movie, it makes Roman's belt look like a hobo suit.
It does.
It is a gorgeous.
I love that. I love that belt design. I think that is one of the best belt designs I've ever seen.
The only thing that has topped it, or not topped it, but at least brought some respectability back to an upper echelon championship, was the World Championship that Rollins has.
Yes,
that is a very nice belt, very classy belt.
Yep.
But yeah, before this, it was like, U.S. Championship is the class act.
Yeah.
IC belt is nice, but it's actually a little meh. It's leaning more towards the tag belts, which I don't like.
Yeah.
I want to bring back the Demolition Heart Foundation era tag belts. That's what
those tag belts were great. They
were
bulky, big. I mean, I love those belts. Anyways, so those are my comments on Logan Paul. He brings it. He's a great heel. He plays his role well.
Yes.
What I think really made this match was Owens. I think Owens brought this intensity to the match. Clearly, and I liked how they booked it, because it would feel disingenuous if Paul dominated Owens or beat him in some sort of smarmy way. Instead, what you had was a proper DQ finish where it saved Owens from taking the L. It provided Logan kind of that escape to keep the title. But Owens just beat the hell out of him. I mean, and that's what it needed to be. It needed to be Owens looking like Owens, and it being some stupid reason why he lost, which was he threw the brass knucks on, he knocked him out, he got caught with them by the ref, and the match was what the match was. So,
which I gotta take one bone to pick with you, because you have that as one of your downs for this match, is a dumb ending, but I get it. Which, fair enough. I'm not going to argue. Like, there is a bit of dumbness in it, but it's a dumbness that we don't see very often.
Mm-hmm.
This was actually a fairly interesting twist.
Yeah.
On how you would kind of normally do this. In a way, it was almost like it felt like a little bit of a, not a direct, but almost like a second cousin, like of an Eddie Guerrero finish.
Yeah.
Back in the day when it was lie, cheat, and steal, and the ref was just waking up, so he'd throw the chair in front of the other guy and fall.
Yes.
I was like, okay, kind of like that, but Logan wasn't smart enough to do it on his own.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, that's interesting enough that I don't hate it. Like, yeah, it's dumb. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's a dumb that I don't see all the time. So therefore, okay, interesting. Where's this going to go? You know?
Yeah.
I am on board with Logan Paul.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to choose part-time champions, please give me more Logan Paul and send Roman off to walk the earth like Kane from Kung Fu. Logan Paul is like you say, he belongs.
Mm-hmm.
He does. And for a long time, I've fought that, even though he was incredibly athletic and he was a natural heel and all that. I'm like, this friggin' guy and all that. He won me over.
Yeah.
In terms of like, just like, yep, you do belong here.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're not only here like every couple of weeks, like when you're there, damn it, you bring it. Holy cow. Yeah. Like it's this visceral hate that people have for him. Like it is like Dominic Mysterio level heat where people are like, not only do I want him to lose, I want me and my buddies to find him out in the parking lot. You know, that level of heat, which is old school. To have that level, like almost like you have to leave the arena before the final bell, so you make sure you don't get into a genuine fight.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my gosh!
No, I mean, I think it was good for what it was. Because anything with Logan, going over Owens in any significant way would just feel, I don't know, just disingenuous. Like I said, it doesn't feel true to the character. I mean, Kevin Owens is the prize fighter. He is a tough as nails fighter based wrestler. And, Logan Paul, as good as he is, just you don't see him hanging with him. And so this match was a great representation of that. Logan got in some offense. He held his own for a small period of the match, but a lot of it was Owens beating the crap out of him. And even after it finished, he put him through the announce table. He did maximum damage to him and walked away. And that's exactly what it needed to be. And so I liked how it was booked. It was booked appropriately. I would have loved to have seen him walk away with that gorgeous championship, but I think it is, to stay with Logan Paul until someone else comes along that, it'll be interesting to see at WrestleMania. He'll be at WrestleMania. Interested to see who he's going to fight. And who could potentially take it from him.
I think it's two things. I think it's very interesting. Number one, that as smart of a fan as you are,
yes,
as smart to the business as you are,
yes,
and as knowledgeable about the business as you are,
yes,
that you can say, like, I really wanted Kevin Owens to win. Like it takes even someone. And those are the moments when you're just so into it. You're like, even though I know this is kind of the way it makes sense for business.
Yeah.
God, I just wanted to see him get his ass kicked. God, I just want to see
like Dominic, Logan Paul, as athletic and as prepared as he comes to these matches, you want to see him get his face kicked in.
Yep.
He's just unfortunately there's just some people who have that propensity to draw it out of me and others who are like, I want to see you get beat.
Well, it's not unfortunate because it really leverages his character.
Yeah.
I think that speaks to just how good he is.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to mention, and I believe this is how it happened. I didn't note it down, but I'm trying to recall if I'm remembering right. So KO gets the beat down, so he gets his heat back. He manages to beat Logan Paul down. And again, I think it was, you put it right. Like, he put Logan Paul to the test, and it showed. Like, it really.
I called it decimation at the end. I mean, it was it was decimation of Logan Paul at the end of that match. It was phenomenal.
But just the way that Kevin Owens took him to this other place, it was almost an Apollo Creed, Rocky Balboa sort of thing. Like, I didn't even know that's where I'd have to go to win, sort of thing.
I love the unwrapping of the hand, by the way. I love that.
Such a nice little detail.
Yes.
And for a part-time guy. And then another detail that I was going to get to was at the very end, if I'm remembering correctly, you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, but after Owens decimated Logan Paul, there's the championship, and Kevin Owens doesn't even pick it up, doesn't touch it, or he left it, or one thing or the other. But he basically was like, "It's not mine, not yet."
Yeah.
That sort of thing, almost like how like Stanley, like hockey players won't touch the Stanley Cup until they win it.
Yep.
Like I like that, those little details, and that's kind of what makes Owens a great character.
Yeah.
Is
maybe it's Owens and Paul at WrestleMania again. I don't know. I mean, it was a great match.
I'm okay with that. I mean, even if it isn't, I mean, I hope there's another rematch because I'd love to see these two scrap again.
Yeah.
Great match. I gave it a 3.5. I had it as a 3, just a flat 3.
I talked you up to it, didn't I?
You did, totally. As we're talking about it, I'm like, damn, this was a good match.
It was a good match.
Yeah.
Not good enough to be in the 4-0 space, but it was good enough to be above average. It was better than the Women's Rumble. It was entertaining.
Yes, it was very entertaining.
Yeah, it was everything it needed to be, and I think a 3.5 represents it well. So
yes. Well, that brings us to the final match of the evening.
4 matches.
That is the Men's Royal Rumble. And
my bad. R-Truth showed up to the right match this time, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, he had 2 chances. Well, actually, no, he could have shown up at the other 2.
Yeah, he could have. That would have been great if they did that gimmick throughout the event, have R-Truth run down and be like, what the heck is he doing? And just have it be like his gimmick. I thought that would be funny.
Yeah, I've already got some bones to pick with some of the comedic segments, comedic aspects of the show, which will rear their head in this one. So starting off, we kind of got into this, but basically starting off was very interesting. We had Jey Uso come down.
Yep.
Main event Jey Uso, and at number 2 is Jimmy Uso.
Jimmy,
which was
not little Jimmy, but Jimmy.
No, it was a great start for this. Lots of crazy eyes. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
If you had somewhere a bet down on the over under for crazy eyes, I hope you took the over.
Yeah.
Wow, but an electric atmosphere to start off the Rumble, and I thought that was a really strong way to start the match.
Yep.
And then we go on from there. We had returning Andrade. I mean, one of the things that stuck out to me. And one of the times I was okay with a comedic element. Corey Graves commenting on Dominic's boots, how he dyed them in his own toilet with Pruno. And Michael Cole could not form a coherent sentence for a good 40 seconds.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, that's good. I will say, referring to the Indianapolis-sized elephant in the room, Pat McAfee was the surprise third wheel in the commentary table. I would have been okay if they brought him out for like the first Rumble match and then he just kind of left. I feel like, and much has been made about Vince's departure from Gorilla and not being constantly in the ear of the commentators, screaming at them for things to say verbatim. That is, I've actually come to appreciate Cole over the last year, and I have not liked Michael Cole on commentary forever. I've just become to be tolerate him now. The Rumble was tough because there was way too much of McAfee trying to do shtick, and it kind of started getting out of control. And really about midway through the men's Rumble match, it was so out of control. I was like, okay, instead of getting everyone over, you guys feel like you're almost going into business for yourself and trying to be like Madden and Summerall, but a really bad impersonation of it. It was just too much. It was too much. McAfee, he brings something and he adds a little something, but what are you doing here? Like it's too far out of control. It was too much of like the, like substitute teacher level humor going on. That kind of took me out of the match, and it really, it was not a highlight for me, shall we say.
Interesting.
But again, enough of my, whinging on. What'd you think of this match, sir? I'm guessing you thought highly.
As I texted you, I felt it was a smoother match action-wise. I felt from the very beginning, it didn't seem to miss a beat. It didn't have a awkward rhythm to it. It was, the action, just seemed more in sync than the ladies match. I like the return of Andrade. He was not too far along after being at AEW. I think he wrapped up there, and I actually forgot about that. To be honest,
they didn't have a no compete clause over there, do they? They might want to think about incorporating one of them in.
I don't know. I mean, his contract came to a close, and I think that was I guess they didn't really have a no compete, or maybe they had one. It was only 30 days or something like that. So, yeah. I like the idea of the Usos starting off. I thought that was cool. Braun Breaker, which we later learned, was kind of filling in for Brock Lesnar for unfortunate reasons, which we won't get into.
Doing one hell of a job. I mean,
he did.
He did his best Brock impersonation, and damn,
he did.
I couldn't believe, and I believe it when they were talking about how quickly he was timed coming off the ropes.
Yes.
Like they were dealing with it in miles per hour, and watching it, I was like, if I wasn't watching this live, I would swear you sped the tape up.
Yeah.
Human beings don't move that fast.
The only thing I'm concerned about with Braun Breaker is when he starts breaking out the Steiner math. That's what I'm waiting for is for him to do the 66 2/3% chance win thing in a triple threat match or something.
As long as he doesn't start barking, I'm okay.
Well, believe me, if you've ever heard him cut a promo, he sounds a lot like his Uncle Scott.
So yeah, okay. So it is Rick's kid, right?
It is Rick's kid. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think it's very interesting that we have Natalia as Jim Neidhart's daughter, and Braun Breaker as like the lesser known of the tag team pairings.
I honestly don't understand the idea of pulling him out of the Steiner name. It's just like why don't you embrace that? It just seems weird to me. But
although you know who I was missing in this Rumble match,
who
oddly enough had a name change over the last week or so, Pete Dunne.
Yes.
Who, oh my gosh, did people go absolutely ape over that guy returning to his name?
Nice self-editing there. I like that.
Well, I try to do what I can. I don't want to have to save. I'm trying to save time on future Todd. But I thought it was great. Although somebody needs to
please allow myself to edit myself.
Someone needs to talk to his buddy there. What is it, Tyler Bates?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's got to have him change his ring attire. He's wrestling in fracking BVDs. Like it's not a good look. It is not a good look. You already look like you're 12. Now you look like you're out there in your Fruit of the Looms, and you're like your parents have left for the evening, and you're running around, friggin' wrapped up on Mountain Dew, having a wrestling match in your living room with your buddy.
Oh gosh.
Oh, but I was surprised I didn't see him. People popped for him huge.
Yep.
When oh, he's not Butch anymore. Thank God, that was stupid.
Yep.
But again, speaking to the depth of the roster, that there were no legends.
Nope.
In either match.
No.
And only one kind of visitor in Jordan Grace.
Yep.
So, I mean, yay.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't try to do a repeat of. I felt really bad for Booker T last year. He came in the Rumble, and if you remember, that was unfortunate because I think he tried a spin-a-rooney. That didn't look good. He was trying to do his normal moves. It was
just a Rooney. There was no spin.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he just looked out of. I mean, not out of shape, but just out of phase with ring shape. You know what I mean? Because he's not doing it normally.
No. I mean, there's being in shape, and then there's being in shape for an athletic competition.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm actually probably in somewhat the best shape I've ever been in my life.
You're saying you're in ring shape, sir?
I am far from ring shape. I am in shape that I feel good moving around.
Nice.
Like I'm not in any kind of shape to play a sport.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole other level. And it's that I remember that now. That was unfortunate, and it was really nice to see them not doing that this year. You know,
absolutely. No, I love Cody coming in the middle. And honestly, not a lot of attention put on Cody at all throughout the match. You know, when he came in, he was there, but he wasn't like a, called upon, name that you heard a lot from the commentators. They were mostly focused on those who were coming in and the action going on in the ring, which is the way it should be. And then it got down to, the final four, which I think was Cody, Punk, McIntyre, and who was the fourth one?
It actually was the final four were Punk, McIntyre, Rhodes, and Gunter.
Gunter, that's right.
And then I think Punk eliminated McIntyre really quickly, so it was a final three.
Yes, which I think was meant to set up either a match at WrestleMania or a match at Elimination Chamber. I think the plan all along was for Punk to challenge Seth Rollins for the world title. That's not happening now. So,
although they've kind of already they've planted a couple seeds for Gunter.
They have, to their credit. I mean, I don't know if that was the plan, but to their credit, they have an out now that Punk is, laid up for, a few events.
6 months, I think, June or
I think they said June. Yeah, June timeframe.
But I mean, that's kind of what and I like how they're doing that. Like, you don't necessarily, it's one way to kind of make sure you don't know which way they're going to jump, but it's also good because injuries happen, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, WWE, I think even AEW is a lot more sensitive to guys having injuries and not trying to just go, well, suck it up. It's the business. Now it's like, okay, try and take care of yourself. We'd like you to be around past the age of 40.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
It is. It is. But
actually, something we missed in the first Rumble, the return of Liv Morgan. I just
realized. Yes, sir.
Which was good. I mean, and one other thing, just again to go back, because I remembered making a comparison of Liv Morgan and Ivy Nile, Roxanne Perez. Did you notice that when she ran the ropes, a couple of times she did the drop down to the second rope, like at
like Rey Mysterio does? Yeah, no, I didn't notice that.
I saw that and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
it makes sense. I mean, you're not like, you're almost gonna be banging your head off of the top rope, so why not?
Right.
It's like, that's kind of cool.
Yep.
But anyways,
very cool.
Going back to what you were saying, sir.
For my ups, I think I hit most of them. My downs were Pat McAfee. I thought that was a just stupid waste of space.
Although we did comment, like, was this the Lesnar spot?
Yeah, well, I did. I thought that was the Lesnar spot because, it seemed like an easy way to fill that. Almost.
Is it almost or almost?
I don't care.
He was almost and almost.
He was almost. Great. He came back. Really didn't I don't know what they're doing with him at this point. I mean, he goes off TV for like months, and then they bring him back for the Rumble, and I'm like, he's taking up space for someone. I would have rather seen Luke Gallows or Carl Anderson, who used to be affiliated with AJ Styles as the club. I would have rather seen one of them show up than Omos.
Well, weren't they on? They weren't at the Rumble. Wasn't it SmackDown? They showed up or something.
Yeah, they're AJ Styles and them are all on SmackDown.
Yeah, and it was like kind of like they haven't been around for a while.
No, which is criminal because they're a great tag team, and it's just like, and Carl Anderson. I mean, in New Japan Pro Wrestling, I mean, this guy won like singles championships there. It's like, I don't understand why they can't find like a role for these guys, but it's like plug them in rather than frickin' McAfee and Omos. I mean, for crying out loud.
And this is the other thing is after we get rid of Roman, we need to split the tag belts again.
Yeah.
Can't be undisputed tag belts anymore.
Yeah.
You can't. If you're going to have two sets of belts.
End it with a Judgment Day.
Which I think is fine. You're starting to build enough tag teams.
Mm.
I think you can make that work.
I liked it with the Usos. I liked it with Sammy and Owens, but let's dispense with it now. 100%. Mm-hmm. The other down that I had for this match.
Yes.
Which Uncle Todd is waiting for me to expository on is Tony Khan's ego, for crying out loud. I mean, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Andrade El Idolo. I mean, like, how many guys from his organization need to show up on this event, for crying out loud?
How drunk do you think Tony was at the end of this?
Oh, freaking! He put two of these away probably.
I'm thinking he was hanging onto his carpet to keep from falling off the surface of the planet.
And what was he saying? What Anakin Skywalker said. What have I done?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Good Lord Almighty.
Yeah.
I was texting Uncle Todd heavily Saturday night, just saying, "What do you think Tony Khan is thinking right now?" Because between Jade Cargill, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Andrade El Idolo, I'm sure there's probably a couple other names I'm missing that have converted over. It's just like, my God. I mean, it's just like
Even if
great
those
talent.
the only ones. I mean,
great talent.
Even if it's just Cody and CM Punk. Even if it was just them.
Yeah.
You have
They're the two that ended the Rumble, for crying out loud.
You have the biggest merch seller for WWE over the past year.
Yep.
And probably, if he had come back a little bit sooner, probably the second or third. As it is, he might be in the top 5, even though he's only been back for like a couple months.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah,
and yeah. I thought this match was great. It was great to see Sami Zayn come back.
Oh,
I didn't need the man bun.
Phenomenal.
That was not necessary. I love how R-Truth basically rolled JD in solely to get him eliminated.
Yes,
and then he thinks it's a tag match. And he's standing out there waiting for Dom to tag him in.
That was the best part. He's standing there legitimately holding like the rope, just like waiting for the tag. Like, can they find any other ways to make this guy more entertaining in WWE programming? I mean, he is hysterical.
But on the other hand, like I do agree with some of what I think Corny has said it. I think it's Corny. I don't think it's Bischoff, because I've been watching a lot of 83 Weeks and then a lot of Corny's segments where they talk about how, it's weird that Judgment Day is supposed to be this badass heel faction, and yet R-Truth is bringing this comedy in.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see if they actually are gonna have a blow off. It would be nice to see R-Truth kind of tap in to a bit of the badass that he can be.
Yeah.
That would be nice. If it was almost, if they could almost pull like a Cactus Jack, Mankind to Cactus Jack transformation, and there's a switch flipped, and he's going up against Damian Priest, and just loses it. That would be great.
Yeah.
Because damn, I mean, Ron is still a hell of an in-ring performer.
Yep.
I mean, he's comedic gold. No, and granted, I mean, he's probably even thinking like, I don't need to do that. Look at how much money I'm making just to make people laugh.
Yeah.
This is easy money, and I'm not a young man anymore.
Right.
But it would kind of be cool to see him just like...
Ron's in his 50s, for crying out loud.
I know. Oh my gosh. He's like, and you would never guess. But anyways, what else? I thought one of the best, like the single best moments of the Rumble, Gunther no-selling Dom's chop. Just like, really?
Yeah.
You thought that might hurt.
Yeah.
That was fan-friggin-tastic. Again, like, Dom is one of those characters that I'm like, I love to hate him, and I understand, even though like I understand the business a little bit, I still absolutely hate him on a visceral, like almost genetic level. But damn, he's just so good. How
about Gunther dressing down Ludwig as he's walking to the ring? And then not only that, but when Ludwig comes in, Ludwig Kaiser, the way he's ducking and getting around all the fighting that's going on in the aisleway was hysterical. I mean,
just that little mincing sort of like,
yes, but both that and then when Gunther comes down and he's just like yelling at him for getting eliminated was hysterical.
The only thing that would have been better is if Gunther had gone in and started beating on someone and had them like in a headlock, and Kaiser is still there at ringside and he's still berating him as he's beating up someone else.
Yes,
that would have been the only way to, but it might have been a bit much.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, what did you think about Cody eliminating Shinsuke with that crossroads through the ropes?
Oh, I honestly missed that.
Oh my gosh, that looked freaking devastating.
Yeah,
it was. It was great.
Yeah.
And then of course, unfortunately, where we're at now, it's less meaningful. But CM Punk like basically like holding Cody's head. I didn't wait 10 years to lose to Dusty's kid.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
That line was incredible. That line was
so
incredible.
good. And such a great, and from a production standpoint, to catch it from the right angle, to make sure you had the mic in there.
And then Cody firing back.
Yes. Oh, no, but I'm just talking like the fact that they caught that line as clearly as they did. Yes. The commentators weren't talking over it. Like, it was a masterful production moment and felt organic.
Yep.
Even though I'm sure at some point, and on some level, it was like, okay, and he's going to say this thing, y'all keep your mouth shut.
Yep.
We're just going to mute you. You can be talking and we're going to cut you off in mid-word. Yeah. So whatever. Yeah. No, that was all great. I'm so bummed about Punk being out, but I mean,
I am too.
At the same time,
100%.
You know, you can work around that, and he did a hell of a job.
I mean, that the end of the Rumble was as entertaining as the Rumble itself. I mean, just Cody and Punk going at it was a phenomenal match, and I think is money down the line when Cody's champion.
And look at like last year.
Yeah.
Same thing with Cody and Gunther. Like you got it was 2 matches. You got the Rumble match, and then you got a 1-on-1 match.
I still contend Gunther's going to be the foil to Cody. He's going to be the one that is going to derail Cody and take the title from him, but is also going to be then the mountain that Cody has to reclimb to get back to greatness again.
Maybe eventually,
because I think he will have built up so much aura based on his Intercontinental title run, and then eventually at some point someone's going to take the title from Gunther, and then Gunther's going to win the world title, and they're going to do the same thing with him there. He's going to go on a really long reign, and it's going to be I just think it'll be a great thing for Cody to be the one to topple him finally. You know, like he toppled Roman, he can topple Gunther. So,
well, again, I'm not against it. I just look at it as the way that things are going now.
Yeah,
I would definitely see Gunther going after Rollins, especially with Rollins' title being looked at as the workhorse, the working champion's title.
Right,
it fits right in with Gunther.
Yes, yes,
and I could see that happening. And then eventually, maybe him and Cody crossing paths. I don't know. I think Gunther needs a lot more build up before he's ready for that. I think him taking on Seth. Yes,
he's had a lot of build up though, man.
He has, but at the same time, why are you rushing it? This guy potentially could be the next Roman Reigns in terms of that person who just has that aura of ain't no way someone's going to beat him, and he's a worker. That's the other thing. Like, he can actually elevate the matches. He can elevate an opponent instead of the other way around. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
A little snug. Anyways, any thoughts overall on the what is it? PLE? I can never keep the freaking
the premium live event.
It's like what's her face? Such and such Dupree.
Good God.
And you know what? The funny thing is,
wait.
I sent you the. Go ahead.
So what did you give this match?
Oh, I'm sorry. I gave it a 4 stars.
Okay, I gave it 4.5. I almost gave it 5, but then I was like, maybe it wasn't perfect.
That's a reach.
No,
I think
it is not a reach. Cody versus Punk at the end was really good, and the match overall was really good. There wasn't a dead spot in that match, and the action was solid and smooth.
Okay. I mean, aside from the fact that you're describing this like an adult movie review, I mean, fine, but
Wow.
I was hoping to catch you with the Pellegrino. No, I agree. I think 5 would have really been pushing it. As it is, I think 4.5 is generous, but it's merited.
Okay.
5 I think would have been over. You're trying too hard to get a job at Titan Towers. Like you're really thinking.
I'm not trying to get a job at Titan Towers. I'm just trying to say it was a good match.
Call me.
Well
Call
booked.
me, Trips.
Well booked.
Better yet, Road Dogg. Call me. Call me and then call Trips.
Triple H, call me.
Yeah. No, I think 4 stars is. I mean, and the other thing is, like, for me, as I've said, I've always, the last actually, I think all the Royal Rumble reviews we've done, I have definitely rated the Women's Rumble higher.
Yeah.
So this is the first for me. Baby steps for me.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it was it was solid. It felt long, and it was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, maximum fracking value, dude. Like, just really well done. Even though the fact that there's no championship changes and all that, like, I really didn't walk away feeling shortchanged by that. Whereas some of these events, I'm like, and we're back at the status quo.
Yeah.
Like, it's always, you got to have some championship change sometime. Even though nothing changed hands for that night, I felt good about it.
Yeah. Yep. No, 100%. It was a solid event, top to bottom. I think it was a, just a fun event, a great event. Royal Rumble is known a lot for surprises, and we got some surprises. We got some great action. We got some very good results at the end, and I'm excited to see where they go with it from here. I think Bayley is a twist from what we were expecting with Becky. I think Cody is expected, and we want to see that story come to its conclusion, and for him to start a new chapter as champion. I think this event overall was well put together, well booked, and like you said, from a timing perspective, I mean, you couldn't have fit another match in, honestly. I mean, the Rumbles took up so much time that it made sense just to do 2 extra matches, just to kind of fill in between and kind of give the crowd some breath and space between the two. So I think it was well done.
And to go back to the first match of the night, and to quote our first match winner, "Hey Cole, watch me win the Royal Rumble."
Bayley smack talking Cole is always entertaining. Always entertaining.
Longest running rivalry in WWE right now, I think.
That's right.
It was great. I because as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot. She always calls out Cole, even when he's not on commentary. That's what I really enjoy. Like, I think she's done that on. Is he? No, he's not SmackDown. He's Raw.
According to CagesideSeats.com, tonight it was Pat McAfee and Michael Cole as the new commentary team for Raw. So I don't know if Michael Cole is doing also SmackDown with Corey Graves and doing double duty. I don't know.
Wait a minute. So wasn't it Wade Barrett and
it was,
and who else? What was the guy?
Let me check the article here.
Dude, no. If you're gonna have McAfee, fine. I understand.
So
give me someone.
Last
else.
week they fired.
Great.
They fired the Friday night SmackDown commentator. What was his name? Kevin something or other.
They fired him like the last Friday.
Last Wednesday.
Did he get named in Vince's suit?
No, he did not.
Okay, well.
Kevin Patrick was fired by WWE just numbers of days ago. It was clear a commentary shakeup was coming to Friday Night SmackDown. Where his lead commentator Michael Cole filled in for him last week, but said it was for one night only. Then a surprise during tonight's Monday Night Raw. Pat McAfee's music hit. He sat down at the commentary desk. Cole then announced the two of them would indeed have one more run together, as he always said they would, and there was no announcement of Wade Barrett's status. So I don't know what's going on with Wade Barrett. So
you know what I think we need to get?
What's that?
We need CM Punk on commentary.
He is the best on the mic, in the ring, and on commentary. So,
I mean, dude knows. And actually, you know what would even be better? Once Roman Reigns rides off into the sunset.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, on commentary tonight, Paul E. Dangerously. And as of not that long ago, Jim Ross.
He's with AEW
still unsigned by AEW for his contract extension. His contract runs out not too far into the future.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, granted, that might have changed in the last month, and I don't know.
Yeah. We shall.
But
see.
anyways, it was a great show,
It was.
and it was a pleasure to watch, as opposed to some of these events where it's quite honestly a slog.
A chore.
Yeah, well, in some cases, it's penance. Like, what have I done in past lives, and what do I need to atone for? Someone give me some rosary beads.
Indeed.
And plenty of wine.
Indeed.
Sir, what do you have for another thing? And oh, by the way, so I thank you for all the folks who have watched our first video episode on YouTube. Thank you very much. And for those of you who might not understand some of the weird ass segments that we do here, and another thing is just kind of a cool thing that we do, kind of something that we'd recommend. Oh my gosh, we a little curly going on.
That's right.
That's
right.
Niagara Falls. Slowly I turn. Anyways, and another thing is a segment we do towards the end of the show here, just to kind of recommend something cool that we have experienced or thought of or just bought or that we just think that folks need to know about in the last week or so. So what do you have for and another thing this week, sir?
My and another thing is the bourbon I've been drinking tonight. Carl T. Huber. I'm just kidding. I am kidding.
Moody.
Bill Moody. No. My and another thing is a film I watched with my family over the course of our Christmas break, our holiday break. The Iron Claw, which is very appropriate for the subject matter this evening. It is the story of the Von Erich family, who is a wrestling family from the late 70s into the 1980s. Very popular. They were on ESPN, actually, as part of World Class Championship Wrestling, WCCW. It was just a very well done movie. It was starring... we'll have a link to it in the...
with the exception of casting for one character, which will the man they would call Tim will get into.
Okay. I don't know what Uncle Todd's alluding to, but nonetheless...
I thought you hated the guy who played Ric Flair.
Oh, yeah. Ric Flair was awful. I don't know who that was, but the ones playing the Von Erichs here: Zac Efron playing Kevin Von Erich, Jeremy Allen White playing Kerry Von Erich, Harris Dixon playing, I believe, David Von Erich, Maura Tierney as the Mother Von Erich, I guess. Holt McCainley as Father Von Erich, Stanley Simons,
good old Mama Von Erich
as the fourth Von Erich, who I don't know, and Lily James, who plays Kevin Von Erich's girlfriend/wife. If you are familiar with the Von Erich story, it is a great watch. If you are not familiar with the Von Erich story, it is still a great watch. It is a very tragic story of a family who, for a long time was thought to have a curse on it in some ways. But this movie does a really, really great job of telling that story and telling it from the perspective of the oldest brother, Kevin, and what the family went through. Probably what I thought was a great, thing to show and kind of explain was, and a lot of people didn't know this, was Kerry Von Erich, who in the WWE was the Texas Tornado. He beat Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, for the Intercontinental Championship for a period of time. But when he did that, he was wrestling on a prosthetic foot. He had lost his foot in a motorcycle accident and amazingly had learned how to continue to wrestle with a prosthetic foot, to the point of I had read some articles.
And this is like 1980s level prosthetic technology.
This
right?
is like late 80s, and what I read articles, and I seem to remember hearing this too, that even in the locker room he would shower with his boots on because he did not want anyone to know that he was that he had lost his foot.
It's like kayfabe squared,
basically. Yeah, and so just a great. And did a great job of balancing the wrestling with just the story that needed to be told. I mean, the wrestling never dominated the story. The Von Erichs had a huge feud with not the Midnight Express. What the heck was Michael P. Hayes' group called?
Freebirds.
The Freebirds.
Fabulous Freebirds. Massive
feud with the Freebirds, which was part of the movie, but it didn't dominate it. It was part of it. And there was a point, and they did a nice job of it, because there was a point in the movie where Kevin Von Erich, played by Zac Efron, is struggling with what he should be doing as, husband and as father, and as that sort of thing, as he's struggling with this, what he's seeing going on around him with his family. And they actually did a nice job of leveraging the kind of Ric Flair Kevin Von Erich match to kind of have him turn a corner in terms of his thought process around a lot of that stuff. And until you see the movie, you won't really kind of follow what I'm saying with this, but do check it out. It does a very, very great job of telling this story about family, and about the importance of family and the closeness of family. And I thought the ending of it too was just really well done. As much as it's a sad story of this family and the suffering they go through, there is, much like George Lucas likes to leave his movies, there's hope at the end of it. So do check it out. The Iron Claw, very well done, very respectful to the wrestling industry, and does a great job of mixing, that with the reality of the story and the situation. So do check it out while it's in the theaters. If not, I'm sure it'll be on a streaming service very, very soon.
Now, quick question.
Yes,
and, as the wrestling historian
Yes.
of the two of us, for whom was the Iron Claw the finisher? Because I believe that Kerry Von Erich, when he was in WWF, WWE, it was the tornado punch, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. That's why it was called the Texas Tornado. He always did a punch where he went off the rope, spun around, and then whacked his opponent with a right hand. It was, I think, Kevin Von Erich, the oldest brother, was probably the one most attributed, either him or David. What was really funny was there's a point in the movie where they show that Kevin was probably not the most talented on the mic, and it was more his younger brother, David. And he's the one that cuts the promo that you see kind of in the trailer, where he talks about, them bringing justice to the, to the promotion is their father built with his own hands, the hands that were passed down to us, the hands that will deliver the Iron Claw to you. Like he does that promo, and the actor does it in just phenomenal fashion. And so, but there is a funny part in the movie where, he's kind of sitting behind the scenes, David, his brother, and Kevin's trying to cut a promo, and he's just not doing well with it. It's just, no personality, no, he's screwing up his words, and he's just like, can you get out of here? He's like, you're distracting me. That's right. I mean, it was really funny how they did it, and showing how it's not the easiest thing in the world to cut a promo, sort of thing.
No.
So yeah, no, it was just a very well done movie, and I would highly recommend it. I went there with my wife and my younger son, who are not, wrestling fans in any sense.
You got your wife to go to this?
Yes. And she.
What did you have to promise? Like, did you have to go, like, was this like flower level, or did you go straight jewelry store?
Here's the thing. Went to it afterwards, for days afterwards. She and my son were saying how good of a movie it was, because something sat with him after it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a wrestling. It's a movie with wrestling. It's not a wrestling movie.
Well, but and that's the best. Those are the best stories.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't like in a way, to go back to our previous episode, which will be linked in the show notes, or you can just scroll through on YouTube and find
shameless self-promotion.
It's Battlestar Galactica was not a sci-fi show. It was a drama show that happened to take place in a sci-fi environment.
Yes.
And ultimately, those are the best stories, that they don't rely on the genre necessarily to be the main focus of the story.
Yep.
Now, there's some that they've used the genre to really elevate that. Great. But by and large, it's the drama within, taking place within the genre. And that's why, to me, like, professional wrestling is just as valid as, a lot of other stuff you see on TV. It's storytelling.
Yeah.
It just happens to be microwaved in some ways, in that it takes place in a lot shorter time period, because we got a pay-per-view coming up in 3 weeks. And it all revolves around a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
But it's that same sort of thing. Like, my wife, for whatever reason, we've watched the Ric Flair documentary, Being Ric Flair, I think is what it's called. And then the Cody Rhodes documentary.
Yep.
She actually watched both of those.
Yep.
And was very into it. Because it's a genuine story. It's a like there is an arc there. She will not watch wrestling. She watched maybe 5 minutes of the Royal Rumble and was like, and I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
And I was like, we all actually ought to have you here, and I will have you like give your reaction to it. She's like, no, I can't hang.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'll have to attempt to lure her there. Maybe I'll have to leave like a path of gift cards or something into the theater.
It is a
Trick her.
well done movie. You will not be disappointed if you go see it.
Except for Ric Flair.
The promo is good to get the point across, but the actor who delivers it, once he takes the sunglasses off, he's no. Not and there's points in the promo where you're kind of like, this isn't Ric Flair, but
well, there's only one.
There's only one.
But
there's a larger point to the promo because it has to do with what it takes to being a man and stuff like that, and Kevin's character is struggling with the idea of masculinity that his father has beaten into all of the boys and that sort of thing. And so I think it's interesting how they use the promo to kind of help him turn a corner in terms of kind of how his thinking was going with the situation he was going through. So, so overall, I would highly recommend the Iron Claw.
Nice.
What is your and another thing, sir?
My and another thing is an album I've downloaded, and over the past actually it's been about a month since I've downloaded this, and I'd highly recommend it. I believe it's fairly new. Let me actually take a quick peek here in Apple Music and see what year it was released. Oh, it was released this year. So yeah, this is somewhat relevant. This is an album called Thank You, Brother Bill, a tribute to Bill Withers. It's by Kevin Burt and Big Medicine. And essentially this is a kind of a blues tribute to Bill Withers. Bill Withers, to me, is one of the great songwriters of the 20th century. Yeah, you look at songs like Use Me, Grandma's Hands, Lean on Me. I mean, dude, if he'd just written Lean on Me and Use Me, you're already arguably knocking on the door to the pantheon. Yeah. Those are two fan-friggin-tastic songs. But then you get into Grandma's Hands. You get into songs on here, which oddly enough, he does not cover Use Me, which is one of Bill Withers' most recognizable songs. He doesn't choose to cover him. But Who Is He and What Is He to You? Kissing My Love, which, oh my gosh, such a great groove. There's a band called Cold Blood that covered Kissing My Love back in, I want to say, the late 70s. That is just devastatingly good. World Keeps Going Round and Round, Just the Two of Us, Ain't No Sunshine, Lean on Me, Let Us Love, Hope She'll Be Happier. I mean, oh my gosh, it is such a well done album, and with a very, very, I would say, subtle blues influence, because Bill Withers was not the kind of guy, and if you listen to some interviews in the past, part of the reason he kind of got out of the music industry is that he did not appreciate sometimes the record company coming in and being like, oh, this song isn't black enough. And he's like, well, I'm black and I wrote it. Is black enough? And like, no, we need to have this and this and this and this and this to make it, whatever. And the dude was a masterful songwriter.
Yeah.
And to have someone mucking with that, I can see why after a while he'd be like, you know what? Well, screw you. I'm just done.
Yeah.
I've made my money and I don't need to deal with y'all.
Yeah.
I think it's really a nice tribute to him that the blues influence of this tribute is very subtle and ties into some of the blues influence that you can hear in Bill Withers' original songs, but it's not like so overpowering, like, oh, hey, and every song is a blues shuffle. No, it's very well done. And a lot of fun too. Nice. A lot of fun. Nice. Some really good songs in there. So I highly recommend that. Check that out from Kevin Burt and Big Medicine. Oh my gosh, such a great band name, Big Medicine. Like, Who wouldn't have wanted to play in that band?
That's right.
Oh my goodness. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our time here at Idiot HQ.
Trying to remember where you were. Yeah. Look at the glass. I got pecans floating through my head.
No, I'm fine. It's the pecans that's messing with me. I've got a nut allergy. Anyways.
God almighty.
We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. This is so much fun for us, and we certainly appreciate y'all hanging out for the ride with us. Please, if you were here on YouTube with us at this very moment, please subscribe. And if you like the video, then hey, you know what? The next obvious thing is to like the video. I hate to be terribly, ham-fisted with that, but what the heck just happened there?
I just did a thumbs up because, like, YouTube is thumbs up or thumbs down.
The weird thing was you did a thumbs up, and there was this little bubble that came up on your video that had a little thumbs up icon.
Oh, you know why? Because I recently upgraded to Sonoma, and I think they have some built-in, like, animations when you do certain, like...
That was kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like the AI that we've all been fearful of. Yep, there it is. There it is. Okay, that's freaking terrifying. Anyways, thank you all for sticking around, and if you are on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to our channel, which is going to be run by Skynet.
The end is nigh.
Good God, where are we heading to?
Oh boy,
and we're contributing to it. Anyways, they're scraping our content. It's fine. Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in, and if you'd like to join the Free Range Idiocy congregation, which we like to think of as the nicer cult, there's not nearly as much money to spend as Scientology, so come on over. And Will Smith, we're looking at you. Dear God, Jada is poison. Jada is poison. Come with us. Anyways, I don't know that. I'm just making stuff up at this point. I caught myself. So if you'd like to join the Free Range Idiocy congregation, all you got to do is go to freerangeidiocy.com, and from there you can subscribe right through the Podbean app if you'd like. If you're not, you say, I got enough apps in my life. I don't need any more, unless they're mozzarella sticks, in which case, yes. What you can do is you can find us on Apple Podcasts. We are on Pandora. We are on Spotify. We are on Google Podcasts. We're on Samsung Podcasts. We are all those fracking podcasts. We're probably on like Joey's podcast service somewhere.
Probably.
Search for us there. And just make sure you subscribe, because that makes our numbers goes up, and quite honestly, the man they call Tim, that makes him happy.
I'm all about the maths.
He's a very simple human being. He likes what was the word that you used earlier that amazed me?
Instantiated?
No, it was reinstantiated. Which I was like, oh my gosh, that's like a word that I don't know reused. Completely messed me up there, bub. Oh, and good God, he's going for another one.
No.
Yes, you are.
No.
You're gonna have like 2 or 3 after this. Anyways, you can also find us on the social medias. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. I already mentioned YouTube, but you can find us on all of the social media platforms except for X/Twitter, which, you know what? F Elon Musk. You can find us at Free Range Idiocy on all of those. And if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, if you have an idea for a show, I mean, quite honestly, you've listened to us now for the past 2.5 hours. We're like 5 seconds away from being out of ideas. So go ahead and send us an idea for a show, and you can send all those to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com, and he will get back to you forthwith, if not sooner. And now, ladies and gentlemen, even though he had like the first 45 minutes of the show, I'm going to turn this over to the less idiotic of the 2 idiots who run this show. Look at him shaking his head. Look at him shaking his head with his Blue Jays cap on. All the Red Sox Nation right now is just going, boo.
It's not Toronto. Just
boo.
Stop it.
It's like the Princess Bride.
Boo. Stop it.
What? That was like a moose in heat. That's kind of frightening. I gotta be honest, I'm kind of terrified right now. But anyways, I'm going to turn the show over to him anyways, but not before I ask the second most important question in all of human history. But of course, we know the first is, what is hip? The second being, the hell hell did we learn this episode?
We learned the following, my friend.
Oh, good. He's got a list.
Oh, we have. We have learned that Ahsoka Season 2. Oh, look at that. Finished his bourbon, pecan, ice, and all.
It was lovely.
We have learned for Ahsoka Season 2, as fans, we don't demand a whole lot. We just want some, there we go. Little polar action there. We just want a little something there, a little around Baylan Skoll and what he's doing.
What do you want from Baylan Skoll? I'm a little disturbed right now.
I want to understand what the heck he's doing. What is he going after? What is his purpose here? That's what I want to find out.
You're wrong.
I'm not wrong. I'm absolutely right. Everyone wants to know what the heck is he going after. Shiki, come on now.
You are worse than Hulk
I
Hogan.
don't think so. But nonetheless,
I love how Tim's talking back to this.
I will have a conversation. I will conversate with whoever would like to conversate with me. That's right. Thank you, LA.
That's how much bourbon Tim has had right now.
Not at all. But we are looking forward to an Ahsoka Season 2 that will continue the story forward. Hopefully get Thrawn a little more rounded out. And give...
I don't know. He was pretty rounded in this episode.
Well, that is fair, sir. Rotund would be the word we would use for the shapely form of the Grand Admiral.
I mean, he was undersupplied, but apparently the galley was fully stocked.
Apparently we know who got all the high-quality food while they were stuck on Peridia.
Bring me another turkey dinner.
We know all the, tomahawk steaks went to the Grand Admiral. That's what we know.
What does a bantha tomahawk steak look like? I'm just curious.
Good Lord. Oh, my gosh. We've also learned, Free Range Idiocy is bullish on Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I believe is what that was all from memory, ladies and gentlemen. That was all from memory. We have also learned the Royal Rumble.
You're shut off now.
Wait a minute. There it is.
You are worse than Hulk Hogan.
In that department, yes, I am. Because Hogan never did that. He went to the gym and worked out, not like that Mick Foley bum.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. It was back here.
That's right.
The roids go in the bum, not in the arm.
We have also learned that the Royal Rumble.
That should be our new T-shirt. Roids go in the bum, not in the arm.
I don't want to be a part of that T-shirt. No. Please, no.
It's going to happen on Etsy next week.
Good God Almighty. We are also bullish on the Royal Rumble. It was a great event overall, and we would like to see a little more investment in the ladies' side of things as we see in the men's side of things. So, but overall, an entertaining and fun event. Do check it out if you happen to miss it. But we are no spoilers, but we're looking forward to Bailey and Cody making their run for the world title at Wrestlemania.
Yes, sir. That's it.
Amen. And with all that being said, we thank you for, again, the listenership, and we do ask you to be safe, be healthy, be kind, be good to one another.
Please rewind.
And until next time, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. The range is closed.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
Damn!
You're such a disappointing pair. I prayed so hard for you. Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
So say we all.
Good day, good night.
Gosh, here we go.
Good riddance.
You know what?
Can I get a little cult of personality, please?
I'm going to do this for you.
Oh! There it is! It's been so long.
Glorious! No, I won't give in till I'm victorious. And I will defend.
There it is. Oh yeah, let's hear those guitar licks.
victorious. No, I won't give in. I won't give in till I'm victorious. And I will defend.
I will defend. I will do what I must.
Oh my gosh. Where's Bobby Roode these days?
He is a backstage agent now. He suffered a back injury, unfortunately, that I think has closed the door on his career. So
you can't tell me he can't come out and take one bump. Is the bump card full?
I mean, if Edge can come back,
yeah,
anyone
but that
can.
took like 10 years.
It did.
I don't know if Bobby's got 10 years.
Bobby had a good run though. Bobby had
again,
a very good run.
If our truth, fitness program, maybe you never know.
Maybe.
No.
That's something else we also learned. Our truth, national treasure.
We already knew that.
My bad.
Yeah. Now get the hell out of here.